Happy May the 4th!
I don't even know
It's
that's
so
registering.
funny because your mic is peaking so bad.
Yeah,
Is that registering the mic
that's
ping?
Like
that's a
the
great way to
noise,
end
the noise suppression is just like we're tapping out.
it. That's a great way to actually start our conversation or discussion about Star Wars. It's like, it's just tapping out at this point. I'm Aaron.
Jonathan.
And I am special guest Danny.
Yeah.
DeVito? Holy shit, I can't believe we got him.
It's Danny DeVito.
It's me. I'm the trash man.
What are you doing here?
I love
I'm here to collect trash.
Oh.
I heard we were talking about Star Wars. No, I'm kidding.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true. We're talking about Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen, because May the 4th is here. And
Yes.
boy, do we got a lot to talk.
But can you
I
walk
wanna-
the walk?
I want to start with a kind
Waka
of
waka.
thesis statement, if that makes any sense. Kind of
No.
like, no, okay, because I was
Okay,
all
bye.
right, bet. Because I was just because here's what I was gonna say is like despite like how groundbreaking and like how much of a cultural zeitgeist this franchise is, watching the movies again, I feel like a majority of them are surprisingly underwhelming for how much of a cultural impact Star Wars is. You know,
Wow.
just the mainline story, just the mainline movies. I feel like the franchise as a whole has done a ton, especially with like all the like TV shows. But we're not talking about the TV shows. We're talking about the movies that inspired all the extended universe and all the spin-offs and stuff like that. And for as big as Star Wars is, the movies, a majority of them, not all of them, but a majority of them, are incredibly underwhelming.
Those are some big words,
That's
but
like,
you'll have
damn.
to back it up. You have time to back it up, so.
Yeah.
The only rule I'll say right now, no fighting at all.
Fuck
That's
you!
okay.
If you want to debate,
I'll do
that's
whatever
fine.
I fucking want, asshole. Ding ding ding. Bring it on.
I
Yeah,
thought
you
I
don't
was
want to
Shadow
do
the Hedgehog.
what? By the way, yes, ladies and gentlemen, he will be part of the Shadow the Hedgehog playthrough. Remember, if we get to it, because it's gonna be something else. But
Oh man, Sonic Forces is like the best Sonic game.
Okay, so Star Wars.
yeah, there you go. All right, so we do have a table of contents. We have original trilogy, prequel trilogy, games/TV shows, and miscellaneous, sequel trilogy, and at the end we'll be even doing a ranking, individual rankings. So because I get a feeling we're all going to have differing opinions on what Star Wars movies are the best and which one's the worst, which ones even make us question faith.
Calling it now, I feel like we're all gonna have the same number one.
Maybe we'll see.
No one.
But yeah. No one always has the same opinion, but like I said, that also goes for you guys in the comments. I'll actually lay this question out right now. What's your favorite Star Wars? What's your least favorite Star Wars? What's your favorite memory of Star Wars? Type in anything Star Wars related down in the comments below and let us know.
My favorite Star Wars is the Republic versus the droids. That was a pretty good war, honestly.
No, my favorite Star Wars is George Lucas versus the people.
Oh, my favorite Star Wars is the one where we discuss it. Speaking of, how's episode 1?
Damn. No. We're doing the original trilogy first.
Oh, okay, gotcha. We're doing chronological order, not timeline order.
I figured that'd be best because that's the one I feel like we have a lot of experience in, but at the same time less experience in because we grew up during the prequel.
Mhm.
So I feel like it's best if we start off with the original trilogy. So
the original.
Yeah, so we can actually start off with how did we get into Star Wars? I think that's a good jumping off point. And then we'll roll into original trilogy. So fellas, how'd you get into Star Wars?
For me specifically, It's, I mean, like you said, we were growing up around the time the prequels were coming out, so everybody was kind of talking about them, you know. And when you grow up with kind of this like inundated exposure to a piece of media, it kind of just becomes a part of the culture, you know. For me specifically, it just kind of was. Star Wars has always been there. There's never really a point where I remember being introduced to Star Wars. Like, if anything, I knew Darth Vader was Luke's father before I even saw, The Empire Strikes Back. Like, I knew that was the twist, and so when it happened, I was like, "Huh, why am I gasping? I knew this." Like, so a little bit of a sneak peek to when I thought about that movie. But for the most part, like Star Wars has always just kind of been a thing, you know. And then when I was in elementary school, the Clone Wars TV show came out, so I was very much became acquainted with a lot of like brand new characters, more so than the original trilogy. And I didn't even like get into the original trilogy until I was in high school, you know. So I have a bit of a non-traditional uh, um relationship with Star Wars in that I had a lot of exposure to prequel trilogy, and then when I was older, I got into the sequel trilogy or to the original trilogy, and because of that, I don't think Ewoks are cute. I think they're kind of annoying.
Fair.
Um,
I don't
yeah,
think
they're
any person.
terrifying looking.
I think they're design. Oh, actually, I disagree on that aspect. I think that the like designs for them are cute, but I think that them and the actual like practice of the show of the series, not really. No, they're kind of annoying.
But I was actually about to bring up. You mentioned Clone Wars. There's two Clone Wars. There's the 2D animation that was a miniseries that literally was in the took place between um, season episode 2 and episode 3, which was made by Genji Tartakovsky.
Yeah,
Probably
legendary
Jack,
animator.
Samurai Jack, fame, and others, of course.
Yes, yep, Samurai Jack, Primal, Robot Unicorn, Warriors Eternal, a legendary animator, Stellar Vision. Yeah, no, it was a piece of work. It was a piece of mastery. There's no notes. Excellent.
yeah. But I most likely I think I know exactly which one you're talking about, and it is for sure the CGI one, which
Yes, the Cartoon Network TV show that was then concluded in when was it concluded? Like 2021, 22?
yeah,
Yeah,
2021 actually. Actually, no, 2020 I believe, because I think that's
2020.
when I think that's when they did the last one. But I will say this right now, I don't think we should really bring it up, and only reason why is because while me and you have great exposure, our friend Jonathan has not. And granted, it's not exactly, it's not because he didn't want to watch it. This dude's busy though, so.
Understood. And it's just like it's one of those things where if you didn't grow up with the show, you kind of have to carve out time for it. And like I wasn't an avid watcher of it, but I watched it enough to know who like Kit Fisto, Plo Koon, and the rest of like who Rex, Cody, and really who Ahsoka is. So I was enough of a watcher to understand it and understand who these characters were. So when I rewatched the prequel trilogy, their spoiler alert, their deaths hit hard. Because it's like,
Well,
oh, this isn't just a random like cool designed Jedi. That's Kit Fisto. Like
well,
that's the dude.
I got a leg up on you because I already knew who Kid Fisto and Plo Koon were because of the 2D one. So
And no need to be such a I don't know, fucking
nerd.
nerd.
The silence was loud. I'm sorry, but like,
No need to be
Uh,
a show off.
but yeah. So, John, how were you introduced to Star Wars?
As with pretty much every other time you've asked a question like this, I've got no clue.
Okay, well, what was your? I think the better question will be what you said earliest memory. Then, what can you possibly pull up from your
Um,
historical?
I was gonna
secret?
say the most I remember about Star Wars is I'm pretty sure I got into it at a young age. I had the toy lightsabers too. and all that. But I think probably the biggest, and it might even be where I first introduced into Star Wars, the Lego games.
That's actually fair. That's a fair jumping point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those games are legendary, man. You know.
Yeah, they're great.
Yep, I had the Lego Star Wars prequels on the PS2, so I played through those story beats multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the original one on the GameCube,
Mm-hmm.
so that was a lot of fun. And
Yep.
then later on in life, I started to play like the sequel. The sequel, Lego Star Wars 2, which was the original trilogy, and then I even got Complete Saga after, and
I think I started on the Complete Saga if I remember correctly. So,
which is a good jumping point in my opinion. It has everything in there, episodes 1 through 6. Shut the fuck up.
And I'm saying it's back when like Lego games didn't have speaking characters.
Yeah.
But I'll say this right now.
As God intended.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, man. I don't like them speaking. It just felt so weird hearing them speak because I'm like, bro, why they're Legos? Why are they speaking, man?
Well, they can still talk. I have the I got the new Lego Star Wars game, the one with like literally everything in it for like $10 recently. I gotta give that a try. So yeah, check your I doubt there's still any there, but like some Walmarts had it literally for $10. I got it on Xbox. So.
Which goes to show you that game literally blew out very quickly.
I wouldn't say that. I think it's just Lego and also physical going away, X being on Xbox. I don't know.
All right, well, maybe we can also get back on the topic of games later because that will be in our discussion later.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about experience with the original trilogy, shall we? I think I should. Oh yeah, I actually didn't talk about how I got into Star Wars. I should do that, right? Right.
No, original trilogy. No, I'm kidding. Go for it.
I started on the original trilogy, unlike you idiots. No, but you can actually thank my dad because he's a massive Star Wars fan, and I did actually want him to be on here, but because he works, he has to get up early in the morning. He cannot be here, so I will try to speak on his behalf if I can. But I literally got into Star Wars because of him. He was like a massive Star Wars fan. Like he had the books, he had the video games, watched the movies. Like he was literally there for the original trilogy. He was able to see that in all of its glory, But he was the reason I got into Star Wars in the first place. And granted, like everyone else, I did grow up with the prequels. However, my story is a little different because I actually watched the original before I watched the prequels. So, I mean, granted, episode 1 was first technically, but I watched the original after because he wanted to show me where things will start heading to, and I loved the original trilogy. Like, hands down, it is so good. I still get goosebumps from watching episode 5, just seeing how everything goes wrong in a matter of milliseconds.
I also want to point out that like for us, like I feel like kids nowadays have no excuse to not watch like the original trilogy before the prequel trilogy because of Disney Plus. But back when we were growing up, the only way you could get it is by going to Blockbuster or another video rental store and then like renting the stuff. And because Star Wars was always popular, there wasn't a guarantee that the original trilogy was available for rent. So, I remember specifically not being able to watch it until I was able to legally stream it. I say legally with asterisks, but yes, legally stream it.
You say that, but I think there's still like it's legitimately kind of up to the person how they want to watch it. Do you watch it in chronological order or do you watch it in release order? Both are valid ways of watching it. Or do you do it like a psychopath and watch it backwards? Actually, that kind of sounds like fun.
I feel like that would be a nightmare to do.
Backwards in time.
No, it's like, but I feel like about to derail this real quick. But I feel like it's like the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline, where it's like, do you do it in the release of games or do you do it in the chronological timeline laid out by game theory? You
Okay,
know?
okay. The main difference of that is you have like 3 episodes in a row that are really simple. It's not that tough. The Five Nights at Freddy's timeline is so backwards ass. I feel like you have to like jump between like every single game. You have like almost no games in order. I don't.
Yeah, but if you play it in order, you'll get like this super lore heavy game, and then
Yeah.
the first game, and then this super lore heavy game, and then the third game, and then the second game. And you're like, why are they so vastly different in quality? Whereas with Star Wars, it's like you get a chunk that's in quality, a chunk that's in a different quality, and another chunk that's in a different quality.
Yeah. That'd be so weird to play those games in order.
I'm certain someone has, and I'm certain they've given up on indie horror games after that.
I am so sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
You can edit that out.
He gave up on the on
You know,
completing
saying,
FNAF 1.
huh?
He gave up on beating FNAF 1 right now. He said he'll come back to it later.
Oh yeah,
Freddy kicked his ass.
yeah, yeah.
But
Wait, I
yes,
think
going
we
back
have to
to
this topic.
So we're getting off
yes,
topic.
back to Star Wars. I said I was gonna derail it. My bad. But yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah, I was actually going to say I did not start off with the original. I started off with the special edition original. So
Oh.
In your defense, though, it's so
yeah,
hard to find the original because even on Disney Plus, it's still just the special
It-
edition. The ones they air on TV are the special edition, like with the CGI Jabba that's been edited in afterwards. Like it's so hard to find the originals nowadays that it's all like George Lucas was very effective in scrubbing it from existence.
well, I actually did manage to remember what the originals were because I think I did manage to catch an actual glimpse of what the originals were before the special edition came along. And I'll say this right now. I hate the fact that in episode 6, they literally included the no from episode 3 for Vader. He said, no! I hated that because I'm like, he didn't need that. The original thing was shot so good that you didn't need him going like, no, no. Like, you didn't need that because he literally, you can indicate I hate the fact that it's like, oh, kids won't put two and two together, but it's like, yes, they can because I literally put together that Vader was like, what should I do at this moment when he's looking between Luke and the Emperor, and that moment where he just goes right in and picks up the Emperor and throws him in there was an amazing scene because you just saw the conflict with him already. You didn't need that, but I digress. So I think it was around episode 4 where I think that was the most obviously that was the jumping point where honestly, and we can actually talk this up because me and Jonathan watched the original and this prequel trilogy not too long ago. I would say like 2 years.
I was in 2 years. Damn.
Yeah, I think 2 years or last year even. Was it last? Yeah, no, it was last year actually.
Was it? It felt like last year.
Yeah, because it was around May the 4th where we started rewatching the original and the prequels. And man, I loved every moment of it. I like I loved it because the original trilogy felt like an actual story that felt whole. And we're gonna get to why the sequels, didn't feel like that. But we're focusing on happy times. Happy times, everyone. Um, so yeah, the original is so memorable and so loved, and I can honestly see why it's so loved because even I loved it as a kid, and I still love it to today. The storytelling is amazing, and you have these great, memorable characters where it's like you cannot have them. You have to have them in the story, or else it's just gonna fall flat. And granted, Yeah, originally, here's a fun fact about these characters. The actors that we see were originally not going to be cast as these characters. I think the exception is like Leia. I
Really?
think it's always set to be, Carrie Fisher, but I think,
Yeah, because of the three of them, Carrie Fisher was the only one with like any like real presence in Hollywood at the time. Like her mom was in Singing in the Rain. Um and so she was kind of like one of the earliest recorded Nepo babies.
yeah,
But she got into acting and she really wanted to like do her thing and she was just like, "Oh, there's this little indie thing, Star Wars. Let me see what that's about." And yeah, lo and behold, she became like the icon of like decades of like female
Wow.
empowerment and like feminism. Yeah, so it just kind of was like her on a whim being like, oh, let's audition for this thing. I
now,
listened to all three of her books, so trust and believe, like I'm very versed in Carrie Fisher lore.
now I don't know if Luke, um, I don't know if how long it took Mark Hamill to book the gig. I think it took him 2, 3 tries, if I'm not mistaken. I know for a fact though, Harrison Ford, they went through a bunch of people. One of them being Marlon Brando to play Han Solo, and I think even John Travolta, if I'm not mistaken. They
That would
got
have
a
been
bunch.
so weird.
Yes, it would have. And they landed on Harrison Ford because he did technically work at Lucasfilm at the time, I believe. And they
He was a
literally,
carpenter.
yeah, and they
What?
literally went in and
Yeah,
just,
Harrison Ford was a carpenter. I think he was an on-set carpenter, if I'm not mistaken. But I know that before Star Wars, he was a carpenter, and I think I could be wrong, but I think he built portions of the set,
That's crazy
specifically
that
in the
he kind of
Millennium
hates it
Falcon.
now.
Well,
well,
Well, not
we can
hate it.
discuss that later.
Yeah, but that's crazy to know.
yeah. So the fact that he just went in, just gave it a shot, and they're like, "We found our guy. That's our guy right there." I just find it
Damn.
funny. They're like, "Yeah, there it is." And from that moment on, you got your colorful cast. You got your Luke Skywalker, you got your Han Solo, you got the lovely Princess Leia, and of course, you got your scruffy looking nerf herder, Chewbacca, and of course, R2D2 and C3PO, which we'll actually be able to get more into with the prequels, because surprisingly, that is their origin stories as well. But the original trilogy was a great setup of what was to come, especially since they especially a lot of people knew this. The original trilogy is a story that you could just watch by itself, but it was also a setup of what was to come later on in the years with the prequel trilogy, which I'm gonna have a lot more to talk about that because again, we grew up with that, so
How much like was that like really planned? I don't think it was that like much planned at the end of the day.
well, I'm here to actually tell you because I actually had to do some research for this. George Lucas, while not everything was super planned, he actually did have an outline of all three movies, including the prequels. Even
Oh wow.
Yeah, the
he
prequels.
an
Oh,
outline.
sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was actually about to explain. Like he didn't plan everything, but he did have an idea of what to do with everything in terms of the story because he wanted the story to be, be about not just Luke or Leia, but mainly about Darth Vader. Because if you notice, the story is, if you start with episode 1 and going through episode 6, the story is about his redemption. It's about how, this man started off so innocent, turning to the dark side, made him one of the most, hateful, feared rulers of the galaxy to now this man that you just see. It's not pathetic, but tragic because of what he had to give up in order to gain that power,
Yeah.
and fortunately, what he did in order to sacrifice, something that he had to give up in the end, which is again such a great tale, and which is why every time I just watch these movies, I just like I can't help but have a smile on my face, you know. Now, the fan base is
We're not going into that. We're talking about these movies. We're talking about these movies. Which
yeah, yeah.
also I wanted to
Let
add.
me reel back. Let me reel back, because
Yeah.
Let's insult
Which
the
also
people watching this movie, watching this
no,
discussion.
we're not going to insult them because, honestly,
we got our opinions, but going back to the movies, I want to piggyback off of what you said about like George Lucas having a plan. Because in the first movie, I think one of the most like pointed out lines nowadays is Luke saying to Obi-Wan, "Oh, you were in the Clone Wars, or you fought in the Clone Wars?" It's
yeah,
a offhand before we have the plethora of content that is Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and the prequel trilogy and everything like that. That
Mhm.
was just a thing that like they call in the industry a noodle incident, which is basically like something that is said, a comment that like is supposed to imply that there is a lot of backstory behind it. And
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, what would the Clone Wars be? And it became its own like resurgence of the franchise in the early 2000s,
okay,
you know?
that's what I thought. Like I was like, he had a whole plan. I thought like the whole Clone Wars line was like a big throwaway line at the end of the day. It's like, oh yeah, the Clone Wars. He didn't have much planned about what the Clone Wars was. It was just the Clone Wars.
yeah. I think that's the thing too, because again, he set up a lot, especially in episode 4, where you can already tell when Ben talks about Darth Vader and even confronts him, you can tell there is an actual history, and he was trying to set that up. Like, you really need to see how all of this went down and how, Anakin and him were friends and how Vader, killed Anakin, which, I mean, damn, that story is a tale where it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
And I will say is that like it just feels that much more impactful when you watch the supplemental stuff. Like, when watching episode 2 and Obi-Wan and Anakin are in the elevator being like, what about that one time I saved you from this and that, you know? And it's just like, cool, that's great. But then you watch Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and you're like, oh, that's the time that Anakin literally saved Obi-Wan from this. That's the time Obi-Wan covered for Anakin this way. And then you watch Obi-Wan
yeah.
and you see the death of Anakin on screen, and you're like, huh. So when you go back and watch Obi-Wan exposit the story of how, Luke's father was one of the best pilots, one of the best Jedi he ever knew, and then Darth Vader kills him, you understand the weight of that story much more because you now have this like visual context to it, and you
Mhm.
now have like this understanding of like what the emotional weight of that was to Obi-Wan.
Exactly. It's more heartbreaking when you see that, and just to see where they end up at the end of their journeys, because they were meant to be more. Even and we'll get more into it when we get into the prequels, because again, we're gonna have a lot more to say about that. But because we're already deviating from the original trilogy. But to be fair, the original trilogy is an amazing story, but it's also like a setup for what is to come later on, though.
And that's
And
the thing too, is that like what my props to the original trilogy, specifically the original Star Wars, like A New Hope, uh, it's a self-contained story. You can just watch A New Hope by itself and not watch any other Star Wars, and it's amazing, you know?
I don't, yeah,
Yeah,
I actually
yeah,
agree. You could really
yeah.
just watch episode 1, episode 4, be done with it. That's it. But I'm I mean, that's actually all we have to say about episode 4, because episode 4 is one that is a good movie, but it's also just a starting point. Because episode 5 is like shit hits the fan. Like,
I feel
damn.
like there's so much more we can talk about with episode 4 though, because it's just like episode 4 is, I mean, without it, there is no Star Wars, and it's more than just kind of a starting point, you know? It was the thing that caused an entire research, like it changed the face of what's it called, science fiction for forever, you know?
Well, I
The only
think,
thing as impactful before that was Frank, was it Frank Herbert? No, I forget. Dune. The Dune series was like the
Really?
thing of, yeah, before Star Wars, Dune was the thing that was the cultural like science fiction like
Mhm.
super popular thing, you know.
I was
And
about
it's
to say, uh, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to say one thing though, was that it is. I think George Lucas even classified that Star Wars is actually science fantasy, not science fiction, because it is more. I think, more based in terms of the realms of fantasy, in terms of the lore itself. I just wanted to get that out there. There are some people.
I thought it was more like space western than anything.
Well, because you're dealing with also the mystical side of Star Wars, he claimed it more as a fantasy as well.
Which, like, I understand, but like, at the same time, you know, which is more akin to it, or I feel like the ones that are more related to another. Actually, you know what? Let me say this: between the Venn diagram of Lord of the Rings and Dune, the middle is Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand what he means by like space fantasy, and like, yes, absolutely, it is space fantasy. But I think that it's one of those things where it's like it is science fiction, it is space fiction, and it is fantasy. Because there's a lot of spiritual elements. There's a lot of like the hero's journey present in it. I mean, it's one of the most archetypical hero's journeys that we've ever seen. Where it's like here. Are you guys familiar with the hero's journey? Before I continue.
Yeah, that I know. For the most part, the
Yeah. So yeah, it's the most archetypical hero's journey. Yeah, it's the most archetypical like outline of any story ever. So yeah, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like the biggest thing about Star Wars is just, or like the original, like A New Hope, it's just how easily understandable it is. You don't need a ton of extra context. You don't need this deep understanding of like extra background lore. And no, it's just like there is a kid. He wants to be something bigger than himself. He finds out that he's kind of Loki, the chosen one in a way, and he has to save the day in the end. And the thing about it is that the Force.
Not really prophesized to be the chosen one, though. It's just meant to, and that's a weird thing because the prophecy, that they bring up in the prequels is like Anakin is the one, but I don't know. I guess in a way, kind of it's Luke because he's the one who brings his father back from the dark side. But I don't know. The whole prophecy is wonky because
I'm still not the biggest fan of that whole, like chosen one stuff.
Yeah. Actually, no, I take that back. Because if you watch the original, Luke the entire time is just some kid.
Yeah.
Because think about it. The only reason he even goes to meet like Han, and the only reason is because he finds R2 in the desert, right?
Yeah.
He's the one to find R2 in the desert. He brings it to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan sees the message because he watches the video or watches the little message, and she says, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." So he goes to the old guy.
He got his ass handed to him by Tusken Raiders, though.
I mean, yeah. So it's like the entire time, like the plot happens to Luke, like, and yes, he does do the thing where she's like, well, I'm going to go talk to Ben and see what happens. And then he does make the decision to go along. But at the end of the day, it's like Luke has no objective reason to be there other than right time and right place. If he had never met R2D2, he'd probably be a pilot for the Empire.
Yeah.
He probably would have gone to Tosche Station for power converters.
To be fair, and to be honest, that moment where he picked up R2 and C-3PO, because we knew at the beginning they showed that the Empire's after them because they have a recording and they have the plans to the Death Star, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
But Luke, if they did not pick him up, Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen would be alive.
Yeah.
I think the Empire already knew, like, no, these droids have been here.
Yeah.
And you're not giving us a location? Well, I'm going to have to burn it to the ground. Thus making Luke's decision even easier for Luke. Because I think it was already a decision that he was, like, waning on. Because especially with Uncle Owen talking about, Ben Kenobi, this is... And I want you to be a part of that whole Jedi cult thing or whatever, And that moment right there is what made Luke just look at the two sunsets and be like, one day I just want to get out of here.
If this were a Disney movie, he would have a musical like moment that's the "I Want" song.
You bringing that up, instantly reminded me of that skit that Smosh did years ago when Disney just bought Star Wars. And it's like, we're gonna remake all the old classics, but now with musicals. And you just see them recycle all the Disney classic songs, put it to Star Wars, and you just hear,
God.
I wanna be where the Jedi are.
But that's truly like that's what that moment is, you know. And
Yeah.
I feel like you could fit most of the I Want songs from Disney, especially Hercules. You know, you could fit any of those songs over that scene, and it would capture, and it would like kind of encapsulate how he's feeling in that moment. Um, so yeah, but yeah, no, everything that happens to Luke is because of right time, right place. And, like Leia, obviously she's in the middle of the political stuff. Like she's going to have to be there. Han, they sought out Han because he's a pilot. So those two are in the plot for a specific reason. Luke is just kind of there. And I don't think it's explicitly laid out like that he has a reason to come with them. Maybe it's because he knows where the droids are, and like Obi-Wan's like, well, you got to come with us now, otherwise, the Empire's going to try to kill you or something like that. So he takes him to protect him, but otherwise, Luke doesn't really have a reason to be hanging out with the crew, you know.
And
And
that,
then and
yeah.
then he realizes that he's like, oh, this is something bigger. And he realizes this is the exact thing that he was looking for, the exact thing he was longing for. And we don't see the force used that in a way that's traditionally used in this. In this movie, the force is just kind of an ideology, it's just kind of a concept. We don't see anything moving, like we don't see any kind of telekinesis.
Right.
We don't see
You know
any
what?
kind of
You're right, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be a concept introduced with Yoda in the next one, wouldn't it?
yeah,
the
because
only thing we see of that is when Obi-Wan does the whole mind thing.
use
You
the
know,
force, Luke.
Yeah.
that's the only time we see it when he goes like, "These are not the droids you're looking for." Like
These are not
that's
the droids we're
that's the
looking
only time
for.
we see the Force in action by somebody. You know, every other time it's
Luke,
just kind of like a thing. It's just the spiritual like idea of it.
well, no, because Luke technically also used the force to actually shoot is straight into the hole.
Oh yeah,
Well,
there is that, but beyond
I
that,
don't think that's the case because here's why I argue against that, because Luke was not the first person to try it. And
mm,
he did the run the exact same way as everyone else, but everyone else who tried it would get shot down. So it's kind of understood that doing that, yeah, I know they call it an exhaust port, but I think they understood that if they shot something over there, it would get sucked into the port. We now understand it with hindsight of like the force is this, and you can manipulate things with the force and yada yada yada. But I don't think that was the original intention. I think the original intention was that like
well,
Luke
no,
tapped into
okay.
himself.
Well, okay. Well, here's the
he
thing.
turns off his scanner. He's told to believe in the Force, you know?
That's exactly what I was going to bring up because Obi-Wan literally talks to him beyond the grave and is like, use the force, Luke. Luke literally takes his scanner off and he's like, all right, just trust in the force then. Let's see where that gets me. Because even
so in that case, he's
like,
about as in that case, he's as force sensitive as Finn is in episode 9.
It's not
Because
ringing back.
Finn uses the force in episode 9 the exact same way. And that's why I argue that the missiles going into the exhaust port was not Luke using the force, but Luke hitting the accurate target was Luke using the force.
And I think I agree with you on that one
because it's like otherwise, if the other guys were good targets, then to their understanding, the plan would have gone the exact same way.
Nah, because I think at that point that would have been the force then, like you said.
I guess someone else probably could have hit that target, but I think Luke hitting it there was a act of the force.
Exactly. So like him hitting it was the act of the force, but not them going into the exhaust port. That's what people argue. And I'm like, no, the plan was if somebody hit that target, the missiles would go into the exhaust port and blow up the Death Star. It just was a matter of somebody hitting it.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing. I don't know.
So we don't see the force being used as a telekinetic power to manipulate anything in space, in the space of one, or words. We don't see it used as a form of telekinesis relative to one's space until episode 5.
Okay.
Hmm. All right. Well, fair
I
enough.
think I understand.
Man,
it's just a
I
bunch of
came
words, man.
man, I came here to talk about Star Wars, not to learn. No, I see where you're coming from though, because if you do look at it that way, yeah, it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, I don't know. It's again the thing about it is just the fact that Obi-Wan literally tells him to use the Force, and at that
Yeah,
moment, it's just like, yeah,
I don't disagree that he used the Force to get an accurate target. You know, I don't disagree. But at
yeah,
that point, the Force is still kind of this spiritual thing. It's kind of gut instinct. It's nothing like visible.
yeah.
It's nothing that you can see. But later on, the Force becomes something you can see. You know,
And apparently, the Force also becomes bullshit explanation, which.
the Force has
But,
always been bullshit explanation. It's just how far the bullshit goes.
nah. We'll get. I'll. I have a lot to say about the
Okay,
Force later on.
no, because the Force being bullshit explanation is present in the first movie because Obi-Wan goes, "Strike me down and I'll return stronger than ever before," and then his body disappears. And it's just like, where's the body? The Force.
Where when Obi-Wan gets struck down by Vader, he's like, "Where's Obi-Wan?"
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's like there's no body. What happened to the body? The Force. Bullshit explanation, I think. You know?
Nah, I don't know, man, because it's kind of hard to believe that it's bullshit explanation, given again that there is something there where it's like, no, Obi-Wan will come back, especially because this. I wouldn't say it's a bullshit explanation, but it is something where it's kind of like a take it or leave it situation. Because I think that was George Lucas's way of saying, if people love this character, we can bring him back as a ghost. If people don't like this character,
he's just going. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's
near the end,
that's my
he
take
talks
on
to Luke from
episode.
beyond the thing.
Yeah, he talks to Luke from beyond the grave, but I don't know. I feel like without the context of the rest of the movies, that scene could be interpreted in so many ways. Is that Obi-Wan talking to him, or is that Luke remembering Obi-Wan's words?
But
We know
Oh.
with the context of everything else, we know that that's not Luke thinking about Obi-Wan. We know that's Obi-Wan talking to him. But when the movie came out originally, was that the intended purpose?
well, okay, I was also going to say though, going back and watching those movies, I never heard Obi-Wan say use the Force Luke before he talks to him beyond the grave. So I don't know if that was like in a scene that we haven't seen, or if that was just part of his teachings while they were on their way to the Death Star.
Doesn't he say it to him when he's like training with the lightsaber in his like hovel?
I always thought it
And
kind of implied it
he's like
was.
blindfolded and trying to like stop the blaster when it's on stun, and he's just like, Luke, use the Force, Luke, to like detect, like basically sense when it's going to happen. And
No,
Luke's
no, no,
like,
no.
this is
You know
for the
what? No.
birds.
I remember exactly what he said. The Force will guide you, is what he says in that moment.
Mm,
You didn't say the Force will use the Force. You said, let the Force guide you, though. Let the ball also, also you have to feel it, basically. Basically, like you have to feel it at that point.
yeah,
So at that moment, Obi-Wan wasn't saying use the Force. He was just saying, let the Force guide you at first.
yeah. Okay, I take it back then. So yeah, I take that back. But I still staunchly believe that the him hitting the target was the Force and not the
Yeah,
actual missiles going in.
no, that's fair. So honestly, I'll be honest though, because episode 4, at least for me personally, I like episode 4, but episode 4 was the type of movie for me where it's like it was just there, not as in there as like whatever. It's like good. It's a good movie, and I could definitely watch it again, but it's just not a movie I would like. Yeah, let's go watch it like right now. Right now, it's like I don't mind watching it again. Put it on. Yeah, I have a good time. It's just it's always been episode 5 and episode 3 with me with these, with the Star Wars movies, because those are movies where I'm like, I could easily like, no, let's go ahead and watch episode 5. But with episode 4, it was a big impact, but it's just, I don't know, it had other movies beating it out. But I will say though, going back to episode 4 was something that I did not notice though. Well, not notice, but something that I did pick up, and it was actually when I was over there in North Carolina with you guys, because we actually watched episode 4 together. And it was, I think it was around the point where you see the decision between what Han was going to do. Because this is after they just got out of the Death Star and they were getting ready for the final battle on the Death Star. And this is Luke talking to Han, saying, well, I guess you got what you wanted. You got your money. You got whatever you need. So you're really not going to fight with us? He's like, yep, I'm not going to fight. He's like, well, take care of yourself. I guess that's what you're good at. I kind of, this might have been my eyes playing tricks on me, but I noticed that subtlety. Like, Han kind of thinks back on that, though. And he's like, huh. I don't know. Maybe I should help them. Again, this might have been something I'm either reading way too much into, or it's just a cameraman just focusing on it for a bit to like kind of like.
I think you're correct in that, because you gotta also think that like every single frame, like not every frame, but like every movement of the camera is intentional. You know, sometimes like yeah, picking up background stuff is accidental, but when you're focusing on something in the foreground, it's like that's the director being like, all right, close in on his face. So I think that was intentional, and I think you were supposed to see that.
Well, we didn't get a close up. It was like the camera was lingering there after Luke left,
Yeah,
and I never noticed that until watching it again. I was like, oh, that's actually
because it's
really
like yeah.
good to pick up on.
When the
Okay.
camera when the camera lingers, it's like the thought lingers, you know. And so Luke saying like take care of yourself, that's what you're good at. The thought lingers. And you know, I think you are correct in that, like Han being like, is that all I'm good for, or can I be something more like this kid, you know? I think that's kind of the intention of that moment. So i i I think you're fully correct in intuiting that.
Yeah, which is why I do find a new appreciation for this film even more, because there's just a lot of stuff that you just pick up on and you're like, "Oh, that's actually pretty cool." What's not pretty cool though is that Jabba the Hutt scene.
I
Like,
saw somebody I saw somebody online, they edited it. Like they edited the what's it called? The remastered edition, and made Jabba a hologram instead of him physically being there, and that makes so much more sense.
no man, honestly I feel like the whole scene could have just been done without, because granted, it was kind of a prelude of what was to come in episode 6, but I kind of like the fact that it's a buildup of we don't know what Jabba looks like. So we just have to use our wild imaginations to see what he is.
Well,
Because they did bring him up, and they did
here's my
even.
question.
Well,
Here's my
hold on. Oh, wait, hold on. Because I do want to mention they did
Mhm.
have an actual deleted scene with an actual actor. So
My question is
go
this,
ahead.
because I remember him saying this, and I don't know if this was ADR afterwards, but Han goes, "Look, Jabba," when talking to the guy, or is he talking to like a benefactor of Jabba the Hutt?
Oh, no, no, no. He was talking to Greedo at that point. He's like, tell Jabba that he's going to get his money due.
I need
Right.
some money.
But then like later on when like he's sitting outside of the Millennium Falcon, was that in the original? And like he walks with Han, and then Han puts a
No,
finger to his chest.
no, no, no. That was not in the original. That was in the special edition.
Then what the heck?
Yeah.
Why would that makes no sense? It makes no sense pacing wise. Why they would add that after Greedo was acting as like a like an intermediary for Jabba the Hutt. Like why would they do that and then just have Jabba the Hutt show up anyways?
Don't don't get it. That's why that I'm like that scene did not need to be in there. That could have been just kept as a deleted scene and just left it at that.
Should
Because
have stayed a deleted scene because it really messes with the pacing.
it honestly made no sense for that to be in there. And again, I don't mind them bringing up Jabba the Hutt, but him actually being there is just like, why would he be there? Especially if the stormtroopers are going to chase after them right after. It'd be like if Han just went in there, came back out, saw the stormtroopers, and was like, "All right, Luke, grab your shit. Let's get the hell to the Millennium Falcon," just to go back in there immediately. Jabba would not be able to get out there that fast, by the way. So,
Also,
Have,
my
have
question:
you ever seen Jabba the Hutt run?
he slithers.
that fucking Jabba the Hutt
Snakes are pretty fast, man.
He's a slug.
He's a fat slug. He ain't moving that fast. Right.
You know, with that extra scene, it turns Greedo from like a competent like bounty hunter to really overzealous lackey because Jabba's already there.
Yeah.
Like what? Like what's the point of you being there? Jabba's here. Like you don't have to. That's like being like I don't know. It's like a hype man before a rap battle. Like why are you here? Just for him to die. Just for him to shoot first.
Like, I came here to tell you Jabba wants his money. He's right outside, but I need to tell you he wants his money. Like, no.
There's two ways to read that. It's either Greedo being like, "Hey man, I really like you, so I'm just warning you, the big guy's outside." Either that, or he's like, I will show him how ambitious I am by getting Han Solo," and then he gets shot.
No, I don't. I can't interpret it as that because Greedo already had a gun to Han. Like, sit your ass back down. All right, we need to talk about this first. So I don't know if that was him. I can't say that was him being being a good lackey. That was him just being like, sit your ass back down.
And then he shoots first.
No,
Greedo.
No, I'm sorry to say, Han shoots first. And I get already hear my dad going, it doesn't matter who shot first. Han shot best. That's lovely.
Exactly.
Han shot first, though, because that, in the original script and even the original shot, Han is supposed to shoot first, because that head movement is a little too CGI for my liking. But it's also to show off that Han is not a straight-up good guy. He is an anti-hero. He's a renegade. So for him shooting first would be in sense of his character instead of Greedo shooting first, Han moving his head weirdly, and then shooting after.
Because one shows him as a badass in that I'm not going to let this guy get the upper hand, and the other shows him as a badass by being faster than a bullet. Faster than a pew. So yeah.
Again, I wish I could say, yeah, I could see that.
I'm not saying it's cooler. I think it's cooler if he's like anticipating Greedo trying to do something and gets the jump on him, because then it becomes
the concept of it's fine, but it's just that head movement already should tell you, oh yeah, it's not Greedo shooting first.
Mm-hmm. Which then brings me to another point, right? Where it's just like the Solo movie, right? Everything that Han says. No. I'm bringing this up for a reason. Everything that Han says in this movie is addressed in the Solo movie. Chewie ripping off a guy's arms. Yeah, that's addressed in the Solo movie. Han making the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Or less than 12 parsecs, I should say. Yeah, that's addressed in the Solo movie. Han shooting first. That happens in the Solo movie. Everything that made Han mysterious and cool is addressed in the Solo movie. And while I like the Solo movie, like in general, I think it was unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
That I agree. Yeah.
Like, it's a cool movie, 100%. But like, I didn't need that answered. Like Han Solo, I didn't need that. What I wanted was a Han and Lando adventure that didn't talk about the origins of Han and just have Han being Han and just an extra story that doesn't impact anything.
The origins of the Millennium Falcon and the Kessel Run? You had to see that.
Actually, you joke about that. There are Han Solo and Star Wars fans that actually did want to see that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
because again, he bragged about it in this movie. Like he made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. So there are Star Wars fans that are like, yes, I actually want to see his backstory. Although
And
Andre,
not gonna lie, the Kessel Run was a cool scene. Like
if you could
it
say
was cool.
anything,
But I understand what you mean. The movie is more just like they don't show off anything. They're just doing what they know to do. Like it's like, oh hey, you see this thing they said earlier? Okay, we're gonna show that off. We're gonna show this off. We're gonna show this off. It's not like an original story. It's just explaining things that doesn't necessarily need to be explained.
Yeah, and I would have much preferred Solo be a movie about like just Lando and Han being buddies in space. Like I wanted to see like the Solo sequel film as the original Solo film, if that makes any sense. You know,
Mhm.
I didn't need a Han Solo origin story. I just needed Han Solo adventures before he met the gang. And that aren't exactly origin stories. Like he has the Millennium Falcon, he's being the Suave. Like I that's kind of more so what I would have liked out of Solo, because and we're gonna hear this. You're gonna hear this complaint again. The visuals were gorgeous. The actors were great. The sound was killer. The music was awesome. The plot was mid.
yeah.
And you're gonna hear that again and again.
When we get to this sequel trilogy, because that's going to be a lot. But I mean, what made Han incredible to me was the fact that this was not a hero, which I absolutely love and adored. This guy is not meant to be a hero. This guy's meant to be I can do whatever I want. I'm not on either side. And what
He's
makes
supposed to be the leader. He's supposed to be the narrative foil to Luke, who's this optimistic, wide-eyed hero who wants to do the right thing. He's the narrative foil to him.
And that's why it makes it all the sweeter when in the end he actually just come back to help, showing that, oh, he could potentially be an actual good guy. Okay, I like this.
Yeah, and then Leia was just great. Like no notes on Leia. I think Leia is great. Her accent's a little iffy, but I feel like that's her code switching.
Yeah, that was a weird scene where she was British at first, but then like later on, it's like, nah, she's just talking regular. It's fine. It's fine. I think
She's only British to Darth Vader and like to Republic officials, you know?
she was only British to Vader and Tarkin.
Exactly, and I think that
and when I so
Probably just a good old case of
Exactly.
early installment weirdness.
that's why I said code switching, because you see two different sides of Leia, and then you also see these two different sides of Leia as the series goes on. You see Leia the diplomat, and then Leia the general. You know, and so there's two sides to Leia, and I feel that obviously this was not an intentional choice, but this is more of a retroactive read on it. That Leia the diplomat was taught by her parents on Alderaan. And basically, like, you speak in this affect, you do this thing, you basically act in a way that doesn't get us killed. And then Leia the general is like, right, but you get dirty, you get your hands in the muck, you do the thing, you pull the gun out of the dude's hands, and you fire. You're a good shot. Like, so you see two sides of Leia that really do make her way more than a one-dimensional character. And I feel like she's not one of the first well-written female characters, but she's definitely one of the most iconic. You know?
Yes. And yeah, I got notes for Leia too, because all her scenes were just amazing. With one exception, which is where she kisses Luke for good luck.
Even then, at the time, I don't think even George
Nobody
Lucas
knew. I know.
Yeah.
Nobody
So
knew.
at the time, it's a triumphant victory thing. But then afterwards, you find out, and you're like, ooh, but they didn't know it.
Oh God, your sister kissed you. Oh man, Obi-Wan, maybe you should have told him.
No.
Did you kiss your sister on the mouth?
You kiss your sister on the mouth.
Oh man, but there are so many iconic moments in here, and I think we should. I don't want to bring up Vader just yet because I feel like Empire is this movie to bring up Vader.
No, I think we should bring up who Vader is in this one. Vader is still this imposing figure that you don't know much about. You know?
Well, yes, but only reason why I say we should say Vader for Empire because I feel like that's his film.
Oh,
is,
fully.
and I'm not saying we can't talk about him. I'm just saying there wouldn't be much to talk about because at that point in time, he's just a villain. Like he's just a straight up villain. I think the only
Also,
question we could have is why is he taking orders from Grand Moff Tarkin, seeing that he is this all powerful Sith Lord?
also something else is that like if he is this all powerful Sith Lord, he was beat by some farm kid, you
Yeah,
know? And so like in this movie, Vader is a bad guy, but that's all he is, a bad guy. Like he's not like an imposing, like iconic figure. He's the guy who kills Obi-Wan. He's the
yeah.
guy that Luke goes, "Oh, he killed my father and he killed my mentor. This guy has to pay." Like that's all he is. He's just a revenge point for Luke, you
Yeah,
know?
no, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, and it's one of those things where it's like when you come out the theater, when you first watch it, because we're going in release order, you're probably thinking, oh, that Vader guy, he had a cool design and everything, but he was kind of lame, you know?
I I will say this right now. I didn't think he was lame, but I did think he was just there
Yeah,
because he was just there to be serviceable.
it's the Darth
And
Maul effect.
yes, he was. Now you know what? That's actually a fair comparison. He was the Darth Maul effect before they come back and
And that's the
strike
thing. It's like
harder.
a lot of people in Star Wars to this day, even Freddie Prinze Jr. is like, listen, Darth Maul's lame. Like, and because he is, he's never going
I
to
agree.
win.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah.
point of his character.
His introduction was just to be cool.
Yes,
You take
just like
him
Darth
out,
Vader.
you're working with anybody, you'll still get the same effect. You know.
Hmm. Darth Vader had an emotional connection to Luke, or like a connection to Luke in that it's like he killed my father. Like, yeah, that's great, that's awesome, that's cool. Otherwise, you don't care about him without that connection. Luke has no reason to care about who Darth Vader is until he kills Obi-Wan, you know?
Hmm.
And so, and again, knowing nothing else about this franchise, Darth Vader is just a guy. Darth Vader isn't even the first in command. That's Tarkin. So Darth Vader's number two. So he's just a really powerful number two, the muscle to Tarkin's brain, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and Vader. So I feel like we need to talk about Vader in episode 4 before we can talk about episode 5, where Vader becomes a gut punch.
Oh, we're gonna have a ball with that. But I think another one of the things about episode 4 is episode 4, out of all of the movies, is relatively short too. Because
Oh, fully. Yeah.
they basically know where they need to go. They get where they need to go. And honestly, the movie is such a nice sit down and watch. It is still a 2-hour movie,
And it
but
also has the smallest budget.
it is a movie that you can't even tell is 2 hours because it just flies by so quickly. And when you already get to the Death Star plans, not even the fight itself, but when they're planning to go into the Death Star, you're already like, how are we here?
Many boffins died to get these schematics or whatever she says. But yeah, no, rip to them boffins.
I just remember that Family Guy joke. It's like, hey, you know what's funny? Bothans. Many Bothans died getting us these plans.
You know that was Carrie Fisher in
Yes, that
Family
was.
Guy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was she was doing Mon Mothma,
Hmm.
and so I didn't really like the fact that she was Mon Mothma because I was around the same age Mon Mothma did. The actress who played Mon Mothma, I think they were around the same age around that time. Um,
Yeah, but also like Carrie Fisher had worked with Family Guy up to that point. She played
yeah, it was
so it was just easy to be like, "Hey Carrie, do you mind doing this person from the movie that got you on the map?" And she probably was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
sure bitching.
But yeah, I don't have much to say about episode 4. No, we have a lot to say about
Well,
episode 4 because without
okay.
episode 4, there is no other episode.
Well, the only reason I said that originally is because it's not that I didn't have much to say. It's just I don't have that much memories with it. That's why. Because
Mm,
I more remember episode 5. And I'm going off of what I remember when I rewatched it again than as a kid. That's why I originally said that. But you're not wrong. we did have a lot to talk about with episode 4, but we talk about episode 5.
Episode 5.
And
The Empire Strikes. Is it? Yeah, the Empire Strikes
yeah,
back.
the Empire Strikes Back. Man, they weren't wrong.
Man. Hey, no, because Empire Strikes Back from the jump is just go, 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 go. And you're like, huh, you
Empire
feel the
Strikes Back.
might of the Empire.
Literally, the first, not even the first scene, the first act, you can tell the Empire is pissed off. Because holy crap, they take down the Hoth base within a matter of seconds. Like Luke cutting that hole in that AT-AT is, yeah, the AT-AT. That was an awesome moment, showing that Luke is getting more proficient with his lightsaber skills.
Isn't this also he force pulls the lightsaber?
Yes, we actually get to see the first time he uses the Force. I was like, he's starting to become better with the Force. That's great.
Not only, he's doing stuff that we've never seen before with the Force, and we're like, holy crap, Luke! You know, Luke overnight becomes not even overnight because this is after a few years after the first one.
This is a few years, yeah.
Yeah, so we see that Luke, it's very effective visual storytelling where it's like, you have the title scroll and everything, but you see it in person, like, oh, Luke has been training and he's gotten good, you know. He has his own lightsaber now, like he's effective with it, you know.
Which also, there a little, I can't really call this a fun fact, a little fact about Mark Hamill is that he got into a bit of a car accident originally before episode 5 came out. So not even came out, but I think before they started filming, which is why if you look back on episode 4 and did a comparison to episode 5, his face looks a little different. He got a little plastic surgery done on his nose, I think.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. And in the ever famous Star Wars Christmas special, they had to cover his face up with smoke.
Yes. We're not talking about the holiday special though, because that
the completely 100% canon holiday special.
You are not going to convince me that was.
I mean, is there anything that's not like canon? I guess. Like, is there anything?
Yeah, the extended universe.
Yeah, the legend stuff, which stupid, but I guess whatever, fine. But
also, is Star Wars Visions? I think Star Wars Visions they said wasn't canon, but it was like
it's not canon.
It's just Tales. It's not actually it's not canon.
Yeah, because like there's aspects of that where I'm like, interesting. But like no, Star Wars Visions is also great art.
Yeah. So with episode 5, things is like what you said. Episode 5 is just go, go, go. But I have a little moment where our boy Luke gets a kiss from Leia, and
he's not feeling it.
Huh?
I don't think he was feeling it in the moment.
Well, actually, no, he was, because he literally put his hands behind his head after and was like, "Yep, I'm a big shot."
Oh yeah, no, never mind. I remember that now. Yeah,
but somebody actually pointed it out. Leia didn't do that because she liked Luke. She did that just to make Han mad a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't have feelings for Luke like that. Like she sees him more as his friend slash brother.
Yeah. I don't see you as a friend. I see you as a brother. Well, I got weird news for you.
Brother zoned so hard you canonically became her brother.
Hey, Leia, I need to talk to you for a second over here. Let's get away from the Muppets. And I like that because it shows that she's more interested in Han because she gets to explore that side of, hey, this guy's kind of a bad boy, which, I mean, isn't that like every girl's fantasy? You know?
Listen, you're not a girl.
So I don't think you should be saying every girl's fantasy.
That's
I just
silly.
want to put that out there. But like, sure, I'm certain that there are some girls who are like,
All right, let me
want to
rephrase
date the
it. Let me
motorcycle
rephrase it.
riding, leather jacket wearing bad boy.
Let
But
me
like,
rephrase it. Every girl in movies fantasies. There you go.
No.
No,
You're,
because some
I
girls
you're
don't
in
just
movies
know.
wrong.
want to.
Just admit you're wrong.
Some girls
Mm.
in movies want to date other girls. That's kind of the point of their character sometimes, is how badly they want to date something other than the bad boy, you
Uh,
know?
yeah, I don't know if that was really, looked upon well back then, so that's why I didn't bring that up. But yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah,
But anyway, she
go
wanted to get
off.
that bad boy. So
But
think
also at that time, I think it was in Han's defense, he was showing himself to be a competent leader. He was showing himself to be impactful in the resistance. He was showing himself to be
rebels,
something more than just a bad boy. He was someone people
rebels,
looked up to.
rebels. Ain't no resistance here yet.
What?
It's rebels. I'm gonna say that right
Rebels, the rebels, yes, the rebels. Forgive me. They both start with R. They both serve the same function. It's like poetry.
Okay,
It rhymes.
but
I get
it's
it.
rebels.
But yeah, but Han is showing himself to be a force in the rebels. He's showing himself to be a leader. He's showing himself to be someone that people can rely on. And I think it's more than just that. I think it's that like he's shown his capability, and Leia is like, oh, this guy actually can hold his own. And if he were to not be an asshole half the time, he might actually have some promise.
you know, you bring that up. Han kind of was. He kind of was a dick throughout episode 5.
Han was a dick the whole movie. I watched
No,
this
that's
movie
what I'm
again,
saying.
and I was like,
Throughout the
dude,
whole
what do you
movie,
see in him?
yeah. Because it's especially like when it came to him talking to Lando and even Lando kind of showing off, he's like, okay, back off my meat, bro. Back off a bit. This is my girl, all right? I'm trying to mac on her. Go somewhere else. Fuck off.
Han really gave no one can be mean to my girl except me energy, and I'm like, that's
Okay, you know,
But you gotta admit, though, that scene where Han was about to be frozen to carbonite, that was kind of smooth. You can't deny that.
it
That
was
was
also
kind
after they fully kissed each other and realized, oh, we do have feelings for each other. Damn,
of
we gotta do
that
something
was
about
smooth,
that.
though. That was smooth. And she's like, I love you. And he's like, I
I
know.
know.
Like,
And then she
damn,
hits him back with it in episode 6.
that was great. That was a great callback. But man, Han was a great character in that movie. And so
Han was,
like,
yeah,
I think we got to see a little bit more of Leia's character. Because again, in episode 4, she was great. You didn't get to see much of her character though, because she was just basically just a princess. She was also the rebel leader, and that was basically it. Here though, you get to see more of who Leia is. We get to spend more
Yeah.
time with these characters. We get to spend more time with who they are as well, and what they even, how they even feel, if they're dynamic even a bit. Luke, is training on Dagobah with Master Yoda, which great interest for Master Yoda fucking around with Luke. I like that moment. He's like, looking for Master Yoda, are you? He's like, come, come show you I
Yeah,
am.
you green gremlin geezer. Where's this ancient master? He probably looks like Obi-Wan, a tall white dude.
No, it's not. You know what? No. I'm gonna stop that right there. I think the fact that it's just like he had no idea what Master Yoda looked like, so he's just
yeah.
like, I'm just gonna go ahead and just take a wild guess. I don't even know where he is. And he's like, first person, a first sign of life that actually talks. All right, sure. You think if you know where Master Yoda is, take me to him. And I actually love Dickish Yoda a bit, because Yoda just messes with him to actually test him, and you can tell that it's a test because he tries each and every time to mess with Luke, and near the end when Luke just reaches his limit, his patience kind of wears thin. Yoda looks up to Obi-Wan. He's like, "Yeah, he's not ready to train. I'm not. I'm not training this boy." He's like, "What? Wait, you're Yoda? Oh, crap! No, no, I'm ready to be trained. Ben, tell him I'm ready to be trained."
I don't think you're ready to be trained, young one.
And he had to put up a decent fight to at least show that he could at least potentially be ready to train. And Yoda's like, "I don't think you're ready, but all right." And he's like, "I'm not afraid. You will be, though." I think that was one of the hardest lines Yoda ever said, because he wasn't wrong. Luke, throughout all of his training, granted of how well he was doing, even in that cave where he fought a vision of Vader, showing that could be him in the future, showed that Luke is still not ready and that he was actually scared, which was a great moment because that was a character, that was basically a character analysis before YouTube was even a thing. With exponentially your exponentially long videos of why Luke is the way he is, and why the dark side could potentially corrupt him. This told that in a matter of seconds. You didn't even need anybody talking, which I loved because it was just like. Which fun thing about this is there's limited to no CGI in this movie. The only CGI is literally Cloud City, and I think that's because George Lucas knew this movie was perfection. You don't need to mess with this. So.
Cloud City looks so much better than just like the white walls. Seeing the outside of Cloud City is really pretty.
Which, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with showing the white walls. It's just you want to see a little bit more of the city, though, too. Which great.
Yeah,
and we can get the added bonus. So.
Also, we got the introduction to Lando, to Obi-Wan. Not Obi-Wan. Lando, Yoda. Forgive me. And was Boba Fett introduced in this one as well?
Yes. He was.
No. Yes. He was introduced in the Star Wars Christmas special.
Be quiet. Be quiet. We're talking about the main line. Wrong. But yeah, no. So we got introduced to three other major characters. Three major characters. Okay, tell me right now. Where was the Star Wars Christmas special aired?
It was.
Was it aired in theaters?
It was. No.
It was aired on TV.
It was aired on TV where more people would have
seen then
it
doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Oh, I guess that means Clone Wars doesn't count either then.
No.
I guess Rebels doesn't count. The Mandalorian isn't Star Wars canon. Oopsies,
you know what? No. You know what? No, I will put an argument against those. You know why? Because those are series. Those are designed to be consumed through television. They're by their nature are written differently and are intended to be consumed by television and are not necessary to understand the main story. They are supplemental, sure, but they are not necessary to understand the main story.
So is the Christmas special. You don't need it to understand the next movie. It's just there.
Oh my gosh, what's funny? In that holiday special, technically, if I'm not mistaken, Luke gets help from Boba Fett, technically, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't ever really watch.
I need to know which one came out first, the Christmas special or episode 5?
The
Christmas holiday special.
The holiday special came out before. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really say Christmas special either, because technically,
it's a holiday special.
It's Life Day.
Yeah, baby, Life Day.
Yeah. I don't know. That feels weird because that's like I don't know, man.
Well, I want Jonathan to explain his reasoning of why he thinks there's only 2 important characters, meaning 2 important new characters in that movie.
Because Boba Fett dangly appeared earlier. That's the only reason. I'm fucking with y'all.
I honestly figured that. So
I'm fucking with you, man.
Cool.
I am ready. I gotta agree with
3, the magic number 3.
Please, man.
Sorry, I'm a Valve fan. I can't count that high.
I'm a Dragon Ball fan. I can't read. But yeah,
Characters were introduced.
brand new characters, and each one of them were badasses. Just man, they get badass introductions, and they actually
Does
the crazy thing.
no
They are meant to be in that story too.
now hold on a minute there. Doesn't Boba Fett do like absolutely nothing?
You're right. He does nothing, but he's still introduced in this one. So when we see him in the next one,
Yeah.
we're like, that's the guy
I-
that was
I just-
there when Han was frozen in carbonite.
I just want to say Aaron saying badass characters. Yeah, the badass character who did nothing. Then literally the next movie before he's able to do anything badass, gets his jetpack like stabbed with a stick and dies.
Episode 6 does not help his case. No, it does not. But
Talk about
think he
flub
gets badass
character.
Actually, I have a question. Why do we actually see Boba Fett doing anything badass?
I will actually say, I was actually about to bring that up. It's not the moment where he's actually first introduced. It's where he actually tracks the Millennium Falcon, because that's how they were able to get to Cloud City, because they didn't even know where the group was going. So they were lost at that point because they were just going around the rubble. They were given that whole chase sequence was them trying to lose them off their tail. So them heading to Cloud City was their way of saying, yeah, they won't be able to find us there. If you look to the rocks, though, you'll see that Boba Fett ship, which I'm going to say it right now, the Slave One. I'm not changing that name. I know it's Firestarter or whatever. It's Slave One. That's what I'm calling it. That's what they called it originally. Anyway.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know he had a name until Disney changed the name.
Yeah. But the Slave One, Boba Fett's ship, tracked them down after. And that, in my opinion, I thought that was a badass introduction, because that was his way of saying, oh yeah, you guys think you're slick. Nah, I got you, motherfucker. I'm going to track your ass all the way over there. If it wasn't for Boba Fett, the Empire would have never found them. The Empire would have been like, all right. Now, granted, I know people would have been like, oh, well, Lando still gives them up, though, and would have told Vader he's here. You're right. But Boba Fett tracks them down. Boba Fett would have never tracked them down, though, and would have never given, Lando that deal, too, because I believe.
And also, Lando is incredibly remorseful afterwards, because he's like, well, I didn't know he was going to kill everybody.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, that's why I say, that fight, that whole Boba Fett being entirely useless, no, not entirely true. Not entirely true. I think he actually does have a reason to be there. If it wasn't for him, we would have never gotten that introduction scene. We don't think we would have gotten them actually finding them, unless if they're, again, people want to point out Lando, but I think Boba Fett is the reason they even found them in the first place. So.
Fair enough. I will give you that.
Plus, I also think that deal was cut when Boba Fett did arrive there, when behind the scenes. I think he arrived there first and told them, hey, Vader wants to cut a deal with you guys, so let's make that deal happen, or else something bad will happen to Cloud City. So.
This wasn't part of the deal. I've altered the deal. Pray that I do not alter it further.
Such a cold line, but also a hilarious line if you watch Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
I also watch the way Cloud shoes.
No, but this movie is the movie that, like you said, it's Vader's movie.
Vader was an absolute monster in this movie. Oh my god! Can we just talk about how awesome Vader was in this movie? Because
yeah, this movie definitely is the movie that solidified him as the force of nature that he is. He is like death. Like after this movie, people are like, "Oh no, Vader is the coolest villain ever." Because like in the first movie, again, Vader kind of there. He doesn't have that personality against Luke because he's like trying his hard. Now I've got a personality.
Because you don't know Luke is he's just like,
I thought he did.
A rebel.
He reveals that during their fight, in that area. I forget what that room is called. But yeah, he does reveal it. So obviously, at some point, Vader did learn and realize, oh, Skywalker. Yeah, that's my kid.
I think you broke up there for a second.
Oh, I was saying like, was it? He had to have known. Otherwise, like, how would he have been able to reveal it? So, like, I think he figured out that Luke Skywalker, his last name was Skywalker, and went, "Oh shit, that's my kid." Huh?
So when you
Go
know that
figure.
episode 1 or episode 4?
I think that was
How?
Yeah.
How would he have known?
It's in a comic book.
We're not talking about comic books. Comic book written when?
Hey, listen, comic books aren't just technically canon, all right?
Comic book written when? Because here's the thing.
But,
Think about it this
I-
way, right? In the first movie, Luke is just a dude, and then becomes famous as the guy who destroyed the Death Star. And when people start saying Luke Skywalker destroyed the Death Star, that gets to Vader, and he goes, "Huh? Isn't that my kid?"
It's by the way, it's
100%
shortly
not.
after. Apparently, it's shortly after A New Hope.
hmm
Darth Vader is informed by
Mhm.
Boba Fett that the rebel pilot who destroyed the Death Star is named Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. So then he finds out after the fact and goes, "Huh? Interesting. Let's get him." And now he's got a personal vendetta against Luke.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh shit,
Well,
that fucker lied. It's
I
my
would like-
son."
The only reason I would actually like to say the reason why I personally think he's introduced to Luke being his son is because Palpatine brings it up in that movie. Skywalker is the one who destroys. He's not the one who destroys the ship, but he sensed that Skywalker is the one who will fight Vader, and Vader's like, Skywalker, leave him to me. That's why I think that Vader finds out in that movie specifically.
I mean, maybe originally they do that, and that's kind of like a tease of like, yes, this is ooh, why would you be so interested in Skywalker, other than blowing up the ship? I think the new canon though is in the Marvel comic book though.
Yeah.
So, but either way, Vader finds out pretty early on, oh shit, this kid's my kid. And then he's got a personal vendetta because it's like, now this isn't some lackey. I need to talk to him. I need him alive,
Mhm.
I have a son. This is incredible. I have a son.
All right.
Little mouse droid, I have a son.
I have a son like speed.
Oh man, I wonder what I'm gonna say to him. I think there are a lot of top tier Vader moments in this movie. One of them is
Fun.
basically when he storms Hoth. I think one of my favorite moments though is where he shows up in Cloud City like a boss and prepares a whole feast for them too.
Make dinner.
The moment Han sees him, just shoots his blaster and he just blocks it with the Force. And he's like, "We would be honored if you joined us." I was like,
Yeah, it's Vader absolutely shows his might and power in this movie because it's one of those things where the full force of our heroes is nothing for him. Like he's dog walking Luke in that fight. Like Luke is fighting back as best he can, but Vader is like, hand gone on your ass. Now I'm about to rock your world, kid. You ready? I'm your dad. Like Vader is untouchable in this
and
movie.
you know what? Honestly, I do think the rebels would have survived even if Luke didn't show up, because Vader's not focused on them. Vader already got Han. In that moment, he's like, "I won already. We already destroyed your base as well. I won at this moment. So we're taking Han. We'll form off." And Luke could have finished his training. Could have been fully ready, but he was too. It's like what Yoda said. Yoda was like, "You're not ready to face Vader. He's too powerful."
So now
Finish
the
your
issue is,
training.
so now the issue lies in this, right? If Luke had not gone, what would have happened to Leia? Do you think Vader would have kept her prisoner, or do you think he would have killed her?
I don't think he would have killed her. And the only reason why I say that is because, despite what people think, Vader doesn't kill for no reason. Well, granted, he would have killed the rebel leader. I think that at that point the rebels would have been shambles, but I don't think he had a real reason to really kill Leia.
Right, you killed
So
the leader.
that's
You
not.
killed,
Huh?
I said, well, right, like because killing the leader of a resistance force has no impact on the resistance at all whatsoever. I feel like Luke did that because he's like,
No,
Han's
it's
in
not that.
trouble, Leia's about to die, and if I don't go there, my friends are not going to survive.
Yeah. So, yeah, honestly, episode 5 is just, this whole thing was just,
It's
I
so
don't even know
good.
what to say.
It made it into.
was
It's
so-
so good. The plot made it into Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Hmm?
yeah,
Oh,
he's not wrong in the same plot.
Huh.
Yep,
I still need to watch that. It's on
it's
my to watch very soon list.
dude,
Mm.
dude.
Dude.
Let's go. Let's jump over to episode 6, though. The ending, the finale, that I honestly found very satisfying compared to another ending. Which
I
Yeah, episode 3 ending
likewise.
sucks.
I have my issues with episode 6. I have my issues with episode 6, but overall, I think it's a good movie. I personally feel that
Let's
like,
talk about what we liked about it first before you get into why you don't care for it.
oh no, I didn't say that. I was just saying like it's a good movie. It's still a good movie, and I think that the character stuff between Luke and Vader specifically is incredibly palpable, incredibly engaging, and like the strongest part of that movie.
Now, like everyone else, I will say, I didn't think that episode 6, honestly, the beginning of episode 6, not when the Empire's talking, but more the rescuing of Han, I do feel like that was a little slow, honestly.
What happened to talking about
That
the
whole
things we liked?
I think he just
hold
hates
on,
them
hold
so
on,
much.
hold on. Wait. Hold on. I'm gonna get to it. We're gonna talk about the things I like, but I just wanted to bring up it was a bit of a slog, but I still like this scene though because I like the fact that we got to see Luke now as a fully fleshed out Jedi, more confident, powerful in the Force at this point. A
Yeah.
reunion between Han and Leia, and even Lando's there too, saying that he is now on their side to help.
Wearing
the
Han's
rebels win
clothes,
against the-
mind you.
Why are you wearing Han's clothes? Seriously, go back and actually watch episode 5. Lando is wearing Han's clothes.
Because they're
Mhm.
boyfriends. No, I'm kidding.
They're best
That's
friends.
that is the running theory is that they're just they're just so close that they wore each other's clothes.
Yeah. But episode 6 starts off strong in my opinion, but at the same time I will also say that it is also kind of a slog. So that's why I was like, I want to get the positive out of the way first, where I think everything after that opening is great. I do genuinely like the scene on Endor. That chase scene was excellent. I like the lightsaber duel between Vader and Luke, showing that Luke is now more experienced, but at the same time, he is also, and this is the thing throughout the whole movie, Luke is completely, unrelentingly wavering on whether or not he should kill Vader throughout this whole movie. Because he even questions Yoda, he questions Obi-Wan, and he's like, what should I do? I don't know what to do now knowing that this is my father. And they keep telling him, you gotta kill Vader. But he's like, I think I can save him though. You guys never even try to save him. He's like, he's more machine now than man. Twisted and evil. And I'm so glad he chose the good path because if he cut off his arm, that would have been some. Yeah, our poor boy Luke probably would have been on the opposite side of that electricity, the light force lightning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ooh, that is another thing.
yeah,
Another new element to the Force lightning.
the dark side of the force.
Which is on
Because
Force Lightning's pretty badass. You cannot argue
it's,
with that.
it's sick. Force lightning is sick when used properly.
I mean, you don't like it, like freezing a bunch of ships in the air.
We'll cover that when we get there. We'll burn that bridge when we get there.
Cross that bridge.
But yeah, no, I said burn.
He means it.
But
Burn.
Burn, 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 a ring of
But yes.
fire.
Jonathan, I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking. What
What,
about you?
what's up?
I mean,
What do you think about?
I liked episode 6. It's pretty good. I'm not one to talk too much, honestly, on this kind of stuff.
Got you.
I've just been listening. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the Ewoks, but I like Endor as a planet.
Endor as a planet is cool. Like, here's the thing, and this is something that Star Wars has always been really cool about. Their planet designs, their set design, like the ambiance and everything,
Mhm.
A1. Like, like just the atmospheric building of Star Wars is some of the best in cinema, period.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether they're using CG or they're using like what's it called? Like traditional props or anything like that. The vision behind these planets is so clear and so distinct that like you can't imagine the scenery without automatically imagining the planet that's on as well.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of skipping
Mhm.
ahead, but I think one of my favorite planets is it Kashima, the one where the clones are?
Yeah, it's like
Basically,
stormy and rainy all the time.
giant, yeah, basically giant storm, rainy. It's got that giant ocean, like, so cool looking.
Yeah, I still
Yeah.
think that.
Yeah,
my-
Camino.
Sorry.
Right.
Camino, yeah.
What about you, Aaron? What's your favorite planet?
Mustafar. Hands down, it's Mustafar. I love the whole look of the planet. I love the fact that I'm more intrigued on how that planet even functions, because that is just a whole lava planet. That always intrigued me. And yes, obvious reasons are obvious of why it's also my favorite planet. So
Yeah.
shut the fuck up. Okay.
My favorite
But,
planet is
Tatooine, because it's
No.
like in every movie.
No. Ew.
Actually, my
Ugh.
second favorite planet, I'll be honest, my second favorite planet is Naboo. I really like the way that planet looks. It's so gorgeous.
Mhm.
It is really pretty.
Yes.
Funny enough, it actually reminds me of John will probably know more about this.
Mhm.
How well versed are you in Mortal Kombat, Danny?
Rough enough to know some locations.
I know where you're going with
It
this.
reminds me of Edenia
Yep.
from Mortal Kombat.
Not that well versed in it. No.
Yeah, okay. Well, Edenia is basically kind of like this paradise-looking place where at least Katana Molina, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where Katana, Molina, Jade, and Sindel, that's where they all stem from. That's where they all come from. And it's basically a place that's similar to Earth, but more beautiful, more heavenly looking, basically. And of course, people hardly age over there because you can look 10,000 years old, yet still look like you're 20. So
I think
that's what Naboo reminds me.
Mortal Kombat 1, it kind of definitely gave me that vibes too. Now that you say that,
Yeah.
But, my second favorite planet is Alderaan. I love it to bits.
Alderaan is gorgeous. Yeah.
Well, technically, you can't say Alderaan because we actually do get more extensive looks at it.
I will say this though, the
But
most badass line ever said by Vader, in my opinion, isn't something said in the movie. It's something said in the comics where I forget exactly what happened, but I remember it well enough to know that like he was basically speaking with the representative from another planet, and this representative was basically like, okay, we're gonna double cross him. Like that was her whole intention. And Vader takes her for a walk in his like castle, in his like trophy room, basically, and he's like, I need you to understand that I'm a lot smarter than I look. And he hands her this rock, and he's like,
I think you
beware
broke up there
who
for a
you're
second.
out. Was it?
He-
Oh, sorry. What I was saying was that my one of my favorite Vader lines isn't one from the movies, it's one from the books or from the comics. When I forget exactly what it was, but there was this like person, I think they were like a diplomat to a planet, and their intention was to double cross Vader for the rebels. And he goes ahead and takes her to his trophy room, basically, and he's like, I'm a lot smarter than I look. And I kind of catch on to things pretty quickly. And he picks up this rock on a pedestal and he hands it to her, and he goes, "Be wary of who you put your ties with, for this is the remains of Alderaan," and just walks away. And it's
Oh
like
yeah, I think that.
the weight of that moment is like, hey, millions of lives gone in an instant. You're holding what's left. So think about who you side with before.
that'd be fucking crazy. Like that is a pretty hardcore moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but let's move on from episode 6 to the prequels, which because we also don't want this to get too long. As enough as it is already.
I'm about to
We're
say,
like
So we're
2
gonna have
hours.
to try to.
we're almost reaching
We're
the
at 2 hours
hour.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's try to group the prequels with each other as well as the sequels and
You were
even
my
the
brother,
games and TV
Anakin.
shows.
I loved you.
So I think it's safe to say the prequels. Granted, we just talked a shit ton about the original trilogy. The prequels is basically where we really stemmed from Star Wars because that was our Star
Yeah, that was the one that we grew up
Wars movie.
watching.
That was our Star Wars movie, and I'm gonna say it first. I've always liked the prequels. All right,
He has.
everybody else hated them. Everybody else hated them, and now look where we are now, where everybody's praising the crap out of them.
Well,
I've always liked it.
I think for one thing is
What's up?
the people probably talking about Star Wars back then were more of the adults, and now it's your generation who grew up with the movies, so they're going to obviously enjoy them a lot more.
Yeah.
So don't forget that little fact.
No, but it's even the adults backtracking too. I'm noticing.
Well, yeah, because we
But
have
they're back.
the sequel trilogy to help to thank for that, you know?
And also probably just in general, more people pointing out more positives made people realize there's more positives to it.
There's a lot of good stuff.
Exactly.
And one thing I will say is pretty solid. Hayden Christensen's acting as Anakin is iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes his line delivery isn't the best, but I feel like that's poor direction and not
Wait a minute.
direction and not the fault of the actor.
Sam.
Episode 3, I agree. Episode 2.
No, because I'm so in love with you.
That was only one line, though. That was one scene. I rewatched episode 3 today. That was one scene.
I don't like sand.
Yeah.
It's coarse and rough and it gets everywhere.
Episode 2.
I did not hit her. It's
Oh,
not
man.
true. I did not.
I'm sorry, I get my shitty movies crossed.
Like for the most part, here's the thing: Anakin's like presence, A1. Anakin's like look, A1. Anakin's face. When Anakin's not talking and he's just acting, and Hayden is just acting with his face, you can reach so much emotion that it's palpable, and you're like, oh, I can see how this character becomes Vader.
it's great face emo. He honestly, his emotions when you just see his face, it is the best thing that come out of it.
Mhm.
But like I said before, his acting in episode 3 is actually really solid. It's really good in my opinion. Episode 2, though, I can't argue for that, man. Episode 2 is just that was rough. And Jonathan can attest to this because watching that movie, we were just dying the whole time. We were just like,
Yeah. And like I will say this though. In defense of episode 2, George Lucas and the rest of the writing team and everything spent a lot of time building up the relationship between Amidala and
between
Anakin
Anakin and Padme.
and Padme and
And
Amidala. Padme. It's like 12:30.
yeah,
And it's been a long day.
Anakin and
So
Padme
everyone
is a
listening,
relationship that,
please forgive me. But yeah, Anakin and Padme's relationship was built up incredibly well, and you see where their love really comes into play in this movie. And it's not just and also defending the whole age gap thing. She was like 12 in the first movie.
But I say, yeah, I remember we looked up that fact. She looked a lot older than she actually was in that movie.
Yeah, she was supposed to be a child in that movie, and Anakin, yeah, he was younger. Anakin was older
I
than
thought
his
Anakin was
actor
like
looked.
8, right?
Yeah, and
He's
Padme
nine.
was 12. So there's a 4-year age difference. Sure, the actors had a broader age difference, but the characters not that different in age.
Still weird though. She was a teenager, man. She was 14 around that time.
Yeah, she was still. But when they're adults, it's like, hey, I'm like 23 now, and you're like 29. Let's talk.
No,
Like that's a
he's 19. He's 19 around that time.
okay.
Was
Hey
was
girl,
there?
I'm like 19. You're like 24. Like, let's talk.
But still, that is just I don't know, man. Because in the first movie, I actually liked their relationship, which I do like the way it kind of interacted between each other because it felt more wholesome, if that makes sense. In episode 2, it feels like stalker alert. Get him away from me, please.
I think it, to me more the way I'm remembering it. It was like more like Anakin's kind of like a puppy dog love, and then Padme's more like oh look at this cute little kid, this guy crush on me. Maybe am I remembering that right?
I kind of read it like that too. And then next movie, she turns around and he's taller than her, and she goes,
Damn.
"Oh,
Goodness, you've grown.
damn, Hi,
Damn.
you've grown." Let me.
Oh.
Boink.
Yeah, but then that suddenly dies when he's just looking at her creepy. He's like, please don't look at me like that. Why not? It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Too bad.
So,
But also,
I
it's like it's one of
agree.
those things where he's stalking her, quote unquote, because he is her bodyguard. Like that's kind of her job. That's kind of their job.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. I will try to defend it a bit. He doesn't know how to talk to any women except the masters in the Jedi Council.
And I think that's intentional. I think that like it's supposed to show like he's an awkward kid, and like him having fun with her is him loosening up because he's still 19 years old. He's still a teenager, you know?
It is him loosening up, but at the same time, you can't deny this is also just kind of poor acting on their part.
I think
And,
it's,
And a lot of people have stated that Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman had next to no chemistry. Which, again, to a certain extent, yes, I do agree, but it's only for this movie because, again, in the next movie, there is actual chemistry at that point. It felt like that these two were actually in love. It was heartbreaking to see what happened, but
and when you see the context of the third movie in reference to the second movie, it goes from, oh, these people don't know how to act, to, oh, these are two kids who have been trained to do a specific job their entire lives, and now that they're together with no supervision, they have no idea where to put their hands, and they have no idea how to talk to each other like mutuals. And it's
you don't say put your hands.
no, because it's literally like,
Your hands away
girl,
from her. Gossip
man
be a
comes-
traitor, man.
this man comes out of the woodworks. He's just like, hey, wow, real life girl. Like he doesn't know how to talk to her.
Oh my god. Actual interaction. I must take advantage.
Yeah, and so you have someone who's like trained to be a diplomat, trained to be this like this government like official who's
Mhm.
trained to speak to people who are older than her with authority and stuff, trying to talk to someone her age and relate to him, and he's like, well, I've only been taught to speak when spoken to, and I only know how to use the blade and the force, and I don't really know how to communicate my emotions. I don't like sand. And she's like, cool, man. You gave me something. And so when you watch the third movie and you rewatch it, the second movie, the context changes and it's really kind of cute.
I don't know, man. I love episode 3, but it still wasn't enough to say episode 2 for me, man.
Ooh. But I will say this though, is that when you look at it in that context and you see Anakin goes on a killing spree and he comes back and he like screams at Padme, I hate them. It's a teenager throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
Someone who has had to repress his emotion for so long, finally understanding what it feels like to feel something other than order and restraint and
Oh.
just act on emotion. He does it and it hurts people. And so he's like, I can't do that again. People die when I do that.
Also, this is the first of the covering of the blood of the younglings for him. This was the start, because he mentioned, I not just killed the men, but the women and the children. So he really got to start in killing children. Okay, so I guess that's why it's a little easier for him to do that in episode 3.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, but I will
them.
defend. You know what there's too many of? My lightsaber in your stomachs.
But also, we need to mention this. Qui-Gon Jinn was taken way too damn soon, because I genuinely liked him in episode
Damn.
1. He was
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Oh,
Liam Neeson's a great actor. I don't think I've seen a movie where I didn't like Liam Neeson in it. Even if it was a bad movie, Liam Neeson was a good part of it.
I don't. Speaking of that, I don't know if y'all ever heard this. The reasons it's called Duel of the Fates, it's more if Qui-Gon Jinn survived fighting Darth Maul, and he wouldn't be able to raise Anakin, and he would have been able to do it much better than Obi-Wan. So things would have gone well.
Yeah,
So
I heard.
it's not like it's Qui-Gon Jinn dying or surviving. It's like basically a catalyst.
Exactly. I did hear about that, because that day again. I'll mention this right now. Dave Filoni, put him in charge of Star Wars, please, because that dude.
I'm surprised he's not at this point.
I don't know how he's not, and there are people that have a problem with him saying, "Oh, well, he's trying to do nostalgia, trying to get his fan character." Like, the dude actually knows Star Wars, considering that he's also consulting Lucas on it too.
Yeah.
So,
And also,
chill out.
but I will say this too as well. We really see the difference between what a Jedi Master and apprenticeship looks like in Episode 1 versus in Episode 2, what Obi-Wan and Anakin have. And in Episode 1, it's a clear hierarchy. Obi-Wan responds to Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is executive. Qui-Gon is assertive. Qui-Gon is a master in every sense of the word. And Qui-Gon dies. Yeah. Obi-Wan is Anakin's bro.
Yeah, he's his
Obi-Wan.
bro. He's not his mentor. He's just like, you know, the shit out of me. But damn it, I can't lie.
And like
Right.
Obi-Wan has no authority over Anakin, and Anakin knows this. Like when he's like, "Don't jump after them," and he jumps off of the ship, and then he just and
I hate
everyone
when he
leans over and
does
just
that.
goes, "I hate when he does that," because Obi-Wan knows he has no power over Anakin, and Anakin knows that as well. You're not my master. You're my older brother.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Hey, John, that's like our relationship. Dick.
It is.
No, it's not. I was just.
And so it's one of those things where it's just like, when and in the next episode when Anakin's not granted the rank of master, he's like, I've done so much. I'm as good, if not better, than Obi-Wan. And you're gonna tell me that I don't deserve the rank of master because
No.
why?
With actual respect, he does catch himself later. He doesn't say, because granted, he doesn't say that. He actually catches himself though, and he even apologizes to Obi-Wan later on. He's like, I've been arrogant and I've been selfish, and I'm so sorry. And even Obi-Wan agrees, you will get the rank of master within due time. I do. He does believe in Anakin that Anakin does deserve to be a master, you know. And again,
Right.
I rewatched that
But I will
movie.
say also that Anakin's initial reaction is everything the Jedi Council need to see to solidify that he doesn't deserve the rank of master, because anyone else receiving that information, if they really were properly like trained in the Jedi way, would have stifled their emotion and been like, I understand. Thank you for considering it. But Anakin's like, it's not fair. And he throws a tantrum. And so
You
they're
know
like,
what?
cool, he's not emotionally ready.
But before we talk about one of the best things about the prequels, besides the music's fantastic, by the way. I want to talk about Palpatine. Dude was one of the best things in that.
I love democracy.
The fact that
Democracy.
he just strung everybody along for the right. He had a whole master plan, and I love the fact that, especially in episode 3, he played Anakin like a fucking fiddle, man. That he knew the buttons to press exactly on Anakin to just get Anakin to either go off and do something stupid that he wouldn't usually do, or make it bubble up to a point where he already knew that was there. He just had to get the right crank to turn it. 'Cause
Palpatine was an excellent example of a slow burn villain. He is exactly what I like. He's one of the best written villains,
he is.
at least in the first 6 movies.
Oh, man. Well,
He's one of the
I
best written
love
villains
him.
in the first 6
Yeah.
movies, because it's like you see the clear trajectory. He's there when he's needed. He's not there when he's not.
He was amazing through and through, and by God, I loved every moment. I loved every moment of him on screen, because it's just like, you know that this is all of his doing, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Because even Yoda admits the shroud of the dark side is what's clouding everything. It's not like the Jedi were to be like, oh yeah, Palpatine's the evil one. No, he's like, no, the fact that Palpatine is in office and able to manipulate things to his liking and his will, because the dark side is just so strong within that he's able to even cloud the judgments of the Jedi, is the most manipulative and terrifying thing that he has done, to where it's like, man, the Jedi really stood no chance then. Granted, the Jedi did have their own flaws. But
oh yeah, fully. And he plays on that. He like the Clone Wars is fully like he's kind of orchestrating that. You know?
No,
he's the one pulling.
He definitely is.
He's the one pulling the strings. He's like, cool, I know this is going to distract them, so they're not focusing on what the Senate is doing. So I'm going to act as a representative for the Senate. And when he becomes the Senate, none of the other Jedi have any power against him politically. And Jedi have been trying to play this political game for a little too long that they're so up their asses about it, they don't even realize the threat is right in front of them. They're so concerned with politics and war that they don't even realize the threat is in the room. So when the threat reveals who he is, it's over. And they're like, damn, we literally gave him power. We voted him in. We voted him to this position. It's our fault that he's here.
The best thing that I taking note of episode 3, that fight between him and Yoda would have meant that did not mean a goddamn thing at the end. Because even if Yoda won, the Empire's already done. The Republic's already been taken over. Yoda was gonna win a losing battle. He would have killed Palpatine, but he would have not won technically.
Yoda would have won the fight, but not the battle.
Exactly, because everything was already done. Anakin's turned to the dark side. Everybody's against the Jedi. Nobody is now on the side of the Republic, because they're like, hey, this form of method might be for the best, honestly. And granted, we got-
Also, the Jedi are dead.
exactly. What was
Order
he
66 was
thinking?
executed. There's no one left.
Wow.
Actually, there actually is a lot of Jedi left. A
Okay,
decent
yeah,
amount
but
of Jedi.
still,
Yeah,
the
Jedi.
ones in power, the ones in the ones who are in the council, the
Mhm.
important ones are dead.
Exactly. Yoda lost. So that fight meant nothing in the end. It's like, what the hell were you going to do? And granted, I've seen what ifs on what could have happened if Yoda won or whatnot. And they try to put it in a happy ending. You're like, oh, well, then the Republic goes back to normal at the end because they managed to figure some exponential bullshit. Not exponential, why am I saying that? Some bullshit reason.
No, it is exponential bullshit because it would just keep on compounding.
Yeah, they basically it kept on piling on. This happened, that happened, or whatever. It's like, no, Yoda would have lost no matter what. Even if he did kill Palpatine, he would have still lost. The Empire's already here.
Well, if he killed Palpatine, there's no one really left to rule.
But then you have Anakin, who's fully turned to the dark side. The
Anakin
clones who
dies. Without Palpatine, he dies
That
at
is
Mustafar.
That is
You're
true.
right. So Anakin's dead. You just have Obi-Wan, Yoda,
And a
and
bunch of rogue Jedis. The
Yeah,
biggest problem you have to clean up the clones, and then
Mhm.
deal with all just the mess from this. But
yeah. You have a bunch of people like Ahsoka Tano and Cal Kestis, and no, I'm kidding.
And don't forget about Kanan Jarrus. I mean, he doesn't exist yet. No, I'm sorry. What am I talking about?
What about Grogu? Grogu's there, right?
What is Grogu?
No.
Let's talk about the duels, though. Substantially better than anything I've ever seen, honestly, in terms of the lightsaber duel. The lightsaber duels in the original trilogy, they were great. They were fine. They're there.
No, they weren't. Let's be real. The first one is just them tapping dicks. The first one is the first one is the two of them tapping dicks. The second one is Luke getting his ass handed to him, and the third one is a good fight.
Relax, all right. It was fine for the time being. They were there to be more emotional. The prequels, however, showed that you can have both emotional and action-packed filled duels. Because holy crap! I mean, look, I'm about to get into one of my, not even one of my favorite, the best duel of all time. But that fight with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, that was amazing, and I loved it. But that was our glimpse of what was to come. And Episode 2, I think, was a little slacking in terms of the duel because it was still a little like hit or miss, especially since you had Yoda. You still had Obi-Wan and Anakin who weren't really fully trained yet to take on Dooku. This is the Jedi Master that they were going up against. Yoda fighting Dooku was okay. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was as awesome as some people thought it was. But for me personally, I was just like, it's fine. It's there. Episode 3, though. I mean, come on. Episode 3 had the best duels. You had the rematch between Obi-Wan and Anakin against Dooku. You had Obi-Wan versus Grievous. You had Yoda versus Palpatine. You had Palpatine versus Mace Windu. And of course, you had Obi-Wan versus Anakin.
Which honestly, all those fights are top tier.
They are top
they are
tier.
amazing. I think
But
the only thing you say about Anakin versus Obi-Wan, it's a little over the top. A little.
It's supposed to be.
No,
I
no.
feel like it's Shakespearean in how over the top it is, and I feel like that's exactly the point.
Obi-Wan versus Anakin is not even top tier. It's godlike. Because I'm sorry. Like I said, I just watched this on my new TV, and holy shit, God, that fight was just so amazing.
Don't you love the part where they spin their lightsabers at each other for like a minute?
Listen,
So that's actually
there is an actual
really.
reason because they
There's,
already. I'm sorry.
oh, sorry.
I just really want
Oh,
to talk about this one fight scene because
yeah. You're good.
listen, I've watched this ever since I was a little boy. This fight scene was everything. No joke. I grew up with this whole fight scene was my everything as a kid, as a teenager, and as an adult. As a kid, I enjoyed it because of the spectacle. As a teenager and as an adult, I enjoyed it for the actual conflict that was going on because people talk about how it was so over choreographed. Yeah, it's supposed to be. These are two fully trained Jedi at each other's throats. No hold bars. These two are Obi-Wan's more defending himself, but they are out to make sure neither one of them dies. Anakin's out for blood. Obi-Wan's there to defend himself. They are going at each other's throats. And that spinning lightsaber, people make fun of that. I say no. They anticipate each other's moves. That they actually read each other. That's why they ended in a stalemate with that, because that is not them being like, oh, look, they're pretty good. No, that's an actual stalemate. They know each other's moves. And that's why each lightsaber attack, yes, looks choreographed, but they know that move. And I will say this right now. I've watched the behind the scenes too. The making between the duel on Mustafar, I've seen that thousands upon thousands of times. Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor deserved an Academy Award for how much fucking effort they put into that fight scene, man.
Which one?
The only one that matters, the duel on Mustafar.
No, I mean which Academy Award?
Oh, all of them. All of them. Now,
I wish there was an Academy Award for stunt choreography.
yeah, but damn, man, they put so much time and effort into that fight. You can tell that there was slim to none stunt doubles. This was all them because you needed to see that tension and that actual fight between each other. Because this is not just them going at each other because it's just the big duel that everyone's waiting for. This is literally a conflicting ideals, like just clashing with each other. Obi-Wan still holds on to, we can fix the Republic. I'm trying to save what's left of it. And Anakin's like, no, the Empire is to rule. I can't have anybody stand in my way, not even you. And these are just going at each other's throats at this point. The fight is so good that it's not even just a lightsaber duel. It's an actual fight. You see Obi-Wan you see Obi-Wan and Anakin kicking each other, punching each other, choking them. I'm like, damn, these guys are trying to murder each other. And yes, the fights are over choreographed, and there are some points where it looks maybe a little video game-ish, but I hate to be this guy, it's for kids. If you're an adult looking at this, like, it goes on a little too long, okay, well, you're wrong, period. All right? You're wrong, period, because it does not go on for too long. It is the greatest duel in cinematic history, and
I want to piggyback on that idea exactly because no one says that the fight from Lord of the Rings is too long.
Yeah, exactly. See, nobody says the fight in the Lord of the Rings is too long, but they say this one is. I hardly disagree. This fight clocks in around at least 10 minutes. 10. That's not that long. This is the most epic duel, and you got Duel of the Fates in there, man. Come on. And of course, you have the Battle of the Heroes, which was marketed like everywhere, especially they even had their own music video with that. This was just the most epic, beautifully shot, wonderfully choreographed fight scene I have ever seen, and nothing in history, I'll even say this right now, not even anything in the MCU, in my opinion, could top this. Nothing.
Damn.
Because this was not, again, this is not just a fight. This was a duel that was literally from the beginning. A lot of fans were waiting for.
Yeah, I'm
think
not gonna lie. I feel like their MCU take is solid because I'm thinking about all the two one-on-one fights in the MCU. The only one that comes close is Cap versus Iron Man, and that one is not much of a spectacle, but it is an emotional like sledgehammer. But like this one is, it's emotional. It's visual masterpiece. Like I agree. This is probably one of the best like choreographed to film fights between two individuals ever in cinema.
I will add one more thing to this. I love this scene so much. I literally can repeat it line for line and even know the exact moves at the exact time, just from how much I've watched the behind the scenes and the actual scene itself. This,
Your new empire.
oh my god, man! And I know people meme on it, but the context behind it is so heartbreaking because you see that Obi-Wan, he's made up his mind at this point. He's like, Anakin's become too dangerous, and it's not for the lack of trying. He even says earlier, like, I can't believe Anakin did this. That's not him. No, I don't. I can't kill Anakin. And Yoda's like, you have to. He's literally too powerful, and he is actually gone at this point. And he's not wrong. Anakin was gone. He was like, you knew he was gone from the moment where you see that scene with him and Padme. By the way, on Mustafar when they're talking, that was hard. That was actually hard.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Break your
Look,
spine.
hey, look, people josh on that scene, but that was genuinely like hard to watch because it's like he literally did all of this for her, and the fact that he just at the end just chokes her because he thinks that she was conspiring with Obi-Wan and brought him there to kill him, like that hurt. Because these are two people that you know before in the past, Anakin would never do anything to hurt these people. Anakin loves these people so much that he literally goes on a revenge streak for them. Like, you saw what happened when he thought he lost Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars. The fact that he just now hates both of them, it's just heart-wrenching to watch. It's that scene where just Padme and him are talking on that bridge was honestly one where you saw that Anakin's gone because he's starting to sound crazy. He was like, together you and I can rule a galaxy, make things the way we want them to be. You can see in his eyes that he's gone. That's not Anakin. That's Vader talking now because he's just like, he's powerful at this point. I can even overthrow Palpatine. We don't have to run away. Anakin's gone. The Anakin's no longer there at this point. So,
And then you cut to Obi-Wan, who is remorseful in every word, every action. He's on the verge of crying with every single thing. Like when he's like, Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. Like, yeah, you know what I must do. He's heartbroken. Like this whole scene is so Shakespearean in that it is truly like you could see this whole scene playing out in something like literally like in a Shakespearean tragedy, and turn the laser swords into regular swords, and boom, it's medieval, and it plays out like Romeo and Juliet. It plays out like King Lear. It plays out like classic Shakespearean like tragedies, because that's what this is. It's a perfect tragedy.
That ending, though, it was also heartbreaking too to see.
You were my brother, Anakin. I loved
Like,
you.
Obi-Wan broke down. You saw those tears in his eyes. That broke. I'm not gonna lie. As a kid, that also broke me because I'm like, damn. You saw these two actually get along. You saw them be friends, and even Obi-Wan, trying to cheer up Anakin every step of the way. Like, you are going to become master. You are a wise person, and I have faith in you that you will bring balance to the Force. And just to see this, Anakin straight up just not even saying it, he yells it at Obi-Wan so he can hear it. Like, I hate you. Man, that was. I'll say this right now. If you go on YouTube and watch people's reactions to that scene, people tear up to that scene.
That
For good reason.
I hate you is so you just like hear like the visceral in him, man.
Exactly.
Hayden
You can
Christensen is such a good actor, man.
this is the movie where I'm like, Hayden's acting top tier in my opinion. Because damn, dude, he puts it all in. I he puts it up. He puts in 1,000%.
Mhm.
And I love the fact that after the person who gets the last line, not in the duel, but in the movie itself, I do believe I think it's Vader actually.
He says no.
He says no. But it is
No.
fitting that it's still Anakin who gets the last word in technically the last movie before we get the other movies. But it's him. It's him who gets that because it starts with him and it ends with him. And throughout the rest of that ending, nothing but silence. You just hear the music playing and you just see what transpires into the original trilogy. You know, Luke and Leia being separated at birth. You see the Empire rising, the Death Star being built, Padme's funeral, and it's just a stark contrast to the opening where it's all lighthearted and like it's going to see the Chancellor, and it's like you know what's going to happen, and I think that's why they showed that because they wanted it to hit hard, and I think that works honestly.
Yeah, no, and Episode 3 is one of the best Star Wars films.
I would
Period.
honestly, I would actually argue. Besides Episode 5, this is one of the best. You know, in my opinion,
I agree.
it's my favorite. Honestly, Episode 5 is not even objectively, factually the best, but Episode 3 is objectively the best for me because I just love every single mark it hits.
Here's my controversial take. I feel like Episode 5 is only regaled as the best because it was labeled as the best movie for decades. I think it's only considered the best by as many people as it is because of longevity, not because of quality.
I would argue that, but Danny, there are actually some people who think like you, so you're not alone.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where like I feel like if you were to play a new fan to Star Wars, all the movies, I think that they would be like, no, Episode 3, I felt that more.
Yeah,
And you're gonna have more of an emotional attachment to Episode 3 than to Episode 2. Because Episode 2, you're just sitting there, it's like the end of Spider-Verse. You're like, what the hell? What happens next? You know? And it's just like that movie was kind of one of the first to do that, where it was like, cool, the heroes don't win in the end. And now you have to wait a year or two to figure out what happens in the end. You're going to be talking, you're going to be speculating, you're going to be replaying all the best moments over and over again. It's the same thing that happened to Infinity War. People said that the Infinity War was the best Marvel movie at that point because it did exactly that. People are saying Spider-Verse is one of the best Spider-Man movies because it does exactly that. But is it though?
So,
And the argument can be made for both those movies that they're not actually the best in their respective franchises. And so I argue that Episode 5 is not one of the best, but is not the best Star Wars film, and that Episode 3, hands down, is.
yeah, could have said it better myself, but okay. So, games and TV shows. I've already talked about TV shows throughout all of this, so
Yeah. Chronologically, after this was the Clone Wars series on Cartoon Network,
yeah.
and
But like
that was
I,
kind of.
I do think we shouldn't talk about that because John still has yet to see it.
I mean,
Oh no, I just
I
wanted to
don't
play it
care.
like.
I've seen
Yeah,
I've
but dude,
seen I've seen a couple of episodes.
I know, but I do think you should actually watch the whole series because
here's my thing. I would argue
Season
this.
one-
It
season
is
one
a
and
political
two.
thriller. It is a political thriller akin to that of Game of Thrones. It is so well written, and it's like it's all the best like political parts of some of these like more adult shows without any of the like need necessary adult content to make people understand that it is an adult show. There's a lot of like comedy in it. There's a lot of serious emotional beats. There's a lot of points where you're like, oh, where is this going? And like, yes,
Now,
you understand like this is a prequel series because like these characters have to eventually make it to the end. But there are times where you forget it's a prequel series and you're like, is this going to become its own thing? Like, what's happening here? And these characters go through so much that they become like their own characters.
I was actually going to bring up season 1 will start out slow, honestly. I can't even defend that because it was actually hard for me to even get back into the series because season 1 and even a bit of season 2, it is slow. But Jesus Christ, the rest of season 2 and
Yeah.
onwards,
But
that's how you do a TV show, in my opinion. Because damn, dude.
But I will say this though, I think my favorite thing that the Clone Wars series did is that it gave us characters to the faces that we see in the Jedi Council. And I mentioned these names earlier because these are my favorite Jedi. We know who Plo Koon is. We know who Kit Fisto is. We know who and then they introduce new characters like Ventress, and they flesh out Darth Maul. They give us more Grievous, and it's like it's great. It's awesome. It's amazing.
Now, I do want to actually bring up. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Kit Fisto was my favorite growing up.
Let's go.
I do want to bring up the Genji Tartakovsky one because that is the one we actually did watch, and at the time, that was actually considered to be the canonical Clone Wars. I liked it. I really liked it. Me and John, we actually rewatched it, and it was really cool. Actually,
It's really good.
it shows more of the war aspect, though, less of the political aspect. But they show more of the war aspect, and how it is actually taking a toll on the Jedi. And you even see a lot of great moments. I would have my head.
Are you kidding me? General Grievous running up a building.
Dude, I would have my head hung. Not my head. I would be hung if I did not say this. The fight between Anakin and Asajj Ventress was.
It was.
That
crazy.
was a fight I was not ready for when I was younger, because that was a trial that Anakin really had to go through, and not only that, you can tell this is the part where you can actually see more of the dark side really started to come out. Because he killed the Tusken Raiders, granted, but this is the moment where you actually get to see it in action, because he is just going like. He's just like wailing his lightsaber on Asajj Ventress to the point where it's like even hard for her to even keep up.
I love that scene. It's so good.
Oh, dude, that part where you see the lightsaber clashing with the other one, and you just see Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and I even think Mace Windu's in there, looking down on Anakin, like, be careful of the road you're choosing. Because he's just, like, hitting her until she falls down. And that scream he does at the end, dude, I got goosebumps when I saw that. I was like,
it's perfect.
Genndy Tartakovsky is a master in animation. If you ever watch Primal, most of that show has no dialogue, and the dialogue that is introduced it's a conlang. Like, you don't understand what's being said because you're watching it from the caveman's like perspective.
What a fucking brutal show.
It's insane. But that's the thing, that Genndy Tartakovsky excels in animation. He can convey and Samurai Jack is a prime example of this. There's not a ton of conversation, not a ton of dialogue in Samurai Jack. And some of the best episodes, like the one where he's going up against the ninja, no dialogue. It's a masterpiece.
Episode, man.
Also,
the ninja episode is so good.
Yeah. I would also like to bring up that Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship also kind of gets fleshed out too in that miniseries. And I actually do like the fact that they add a bit of humor when they're actually like Jedi Knights, like they're like buddies at that point. Because you now actually get to see the actual dichotomy between the two. And you just see Anakin's more playful side come out. You know, especially like when Obi-Wan's like, we need to be more tactful, and he sends like little bombs there, like when they're in the sewer, he sends like little bombs to on the ground in the base, and Anakin's just like, well, that's no fun. Wanted to just like destroy all those robots, and Obi-Wan's like, no, we need to be more tactful. He's like, I want to kill those robots. Like, come on. I like that, man. It is great. And that that foreshadowing scene when Anakin gets those tattoos, I thought that was also a great foreshadowing of what was to come and who he was going to become without actually being like, this is you, look, it's Vader. You know, because it's not showing him this is Vader. This is it's a story that he is being told that happened to one of these people.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, what could happen to him as well if he continues to go down the path he does.
Also,
I thought that was
Mace Windu just kicks ass.
Mace Windu was a badass.
Oh man, Mace.
Mace
Especially in the Tarkovsky show. Fuck, dude. He fucked shit up.
Listen,
dude, he's the reason why Grievous is like that. He just goes rib cage crushed, and Grievous is just like,
Go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, reminds me, Grievous, I think, is my all-time favorite character.
In the words of Samuel Jackson himself, he's a bad motherfucker. He's a bad motherfucker, and damn, man, Mace Windu is awesome.
Also, sorry, I got one thing about the prequels I forgot I mentioned was I think most, if not all, my favorite characters do come from the prequels. Jango Fett is way better than Boba Fett.
Oh, Jango Fett actually gets a chance to be cool.
And the blue is, I think, looks a lot nicer than the green.
And what's cool is that Jango Fett wins his first fight. Obi-Wan loses. So we see that Jango Fett is a formidable fighter. And then when Mace comes in and decapitates him, that shows how much of a formidable fighter Mace is. So when Anakin is, like, in episode 3, given the choice to basically turn and, like, help Palpatine, it shows that Palpatine couldn't have won. We know that Palpatine could not have won that fight if it was just him and Mace. Mace would have kicked his ass.
He lost. He did lose. He lost there.
The only reason he won was because of Anakin. So it's one of those things where it's like, it establishes Mace as the strongest, not the best, but the strongest Jedi.
And Anakin even admits that later in episode 2. He's like, people keep complimenting him like he's as wise as Master Yoda, but as powerful as Mace Windu. He admits that Mace Windu is extremely powerful.
Yeah, Mace Windu kicks ass. Like, there's nowhere around it. And he's the only one with the purple lightsaber, which originally is because Samuel Jackson was like, all my kids to be able to point and be like, yo, that's me. But the lore behind that has changed, where it's just like, Mace is someone who was able to go light, dark, light. And that is reflected in his purple lightsaber, where it's red and blue equally, where he's basically like a lawful neutral character, where he's just like, I understand that, like, in order to instill good in the world, you gotta have a strong fist.
Also, I will be I'm sorry, I will be remiss if I did not point this out. PC Carson voices him in the Clone Wars and any video game adaptation, and it is the same voice as Kratos in the original God of War games.
God.
So badass through and through.
Yeah, no, Mace Windu is one of the best characters in Star Wars, period, hands down. And he's a bit of an asshole, which is kind of cool, which is great. He's an asshole to Anakin specifically, because he's just like, shut the fuck up. And it's like,
he's actually jealous of him. They actually showed that Mace is kind of jealous of Anakin. You know, this little bastard right here just shows up, thinks he's better than anyone. I'm gonna take him down a peg, fucker. But I think
you recognize your role, but we will not give you the title of master because you ain't earned it, punk.
Yeah, sit your fucking ass back down. Also, let, before we get into the last thing, I do want to at least talk a bit about video games because I think we did
Context: it is 1 a.m. Everybody.
exactly that because we need to wrap this up.
I cannot believe y'all went on for
Uh,
2
the last thing will
hours
be
and
the
30
sequel trilogy.
minutes. Like,
And
what the fuck?
Listen, Star Wars. There's a lot to talk about in Star Wars, and we could go into more detail.
man,
We didn't even talk because, like, I'm talking about like, oh, the different aspects of the Force that are introduced. We didn't even talk about the different lightsabers that are introduced.
yeah, we're gonna go that into detail,
The
man.
deuce.
We could talk about how in the first one we only see a blue and a red lightsaber, and then in the second one we still only see a blue lightsaber. Then in the third one we see a green lightsaber, and then in the fourth one we see a double-sided red lightsaber.
And then we got a purple one. There you go.
And then we got a purple lightsaber, and then we see the first time we see a Sith user using green and blue lightsabers because those are the lightsabers of fallen Jedi. So
Well, actually,
yeah,
hold on. Grievous technically isn't a Sith. They actually did. They did confirm he's not a Sith. He's just somebody who just took the Jedi's weapons because he's not even. He doesn't even use the Force. So
oh, so he's just a dude. So yeah, this is the first time we see someone who's not force
alien
sensitive
dude,
using lightsabers.
an alien dude.
An
But
alien dude, four
I
arms,
think,
Alien
cyborg
robot
man.
dude.
yeah, I think we should also talk about games too, though, because and not to a massive extent as we just did, but a touch upon because I would again I do think we should mention a few key games: Battlefront and Force Unleashed.
And
Because
Lego.
those two and Lego, yeah, those three I think defined what Star Wars games should be, in my opinion. Especially specifically Battlefront 2, Force Unleashed 1, and I do think the complete saga, the Lego Star Wars, the complete saga. Those are Lego Star Wars is how you do a fun game. Force Unleashed is how you do an amazing hack and slash game with Star Wars. And Battlefront 2 is how you do a great first person slash third person shooter game with Star Wars.
Is it
I did
first person?
It is first person because you actually
third
have the
person.
option to go. No, you also have the option to go first person as well. Actually,
Yeah, but it's primarily third person, especially when you're
yeah,
any of the named characters,
Yeah.
you become over the
yeah,
shoulder.
yeah. You're right. You're right. But
Anyways,
those,
Yeah.
I just
I
want
want to say this. Sorry, I do want to say while we're on the topic of video games, Force Unleashed is great, but the new one with Cal Kestis,
hmm
I think it's flawless.
Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi.
Fallen Order, and I haven't played the second one, but Fallen Order is. I might be confusing the names because it's late and I'm tired. But yeah, no, it's Cal Kestis is such an amazing character. I wish that he was in the actual TV show. And honestly, they mocapped the actor so he can show up in a mainline Star Wars project if they really
he
wanted him
probably
to.
will. I mean, they probably want
Yeah,
to set up their third game, and he might die in that. But
we'll just have to wait and see.
yeah. I mean, he
But
exists around the time period they're playing with a lot. So
Yeah,
Battle
post.
Battlefront
Yeah,
2, Battlefront 2 was my
oh
childhood.
my
You
god,
Battlefront 2.
me and my friend used to play so much Battlefront 2.
Oh fuck, man, I love that game. I'll
Battlefront
even
Two
bring
is
up, I'll
It's
even bring up episode 3 of the game because I think that was also kind of like a tie-in of sorts because that was also good. But yeah, go ahead, John.
I was saying, dude, like Battlefront 2 is it's like such almost like a perfect Star Wars game.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun because you just get to play as like it's throughout the entire series up to that point. All the different classes felt fun. The playing as a Jedi or a Sith was amazing. It just felt right. I loved doing the space battles, like trying to like infiltrate the enemy's ship and blowing up their stuff. Oh, what a nostalgic rush of a game.
Yeah. Force Unleashed was also a perfect game as well because that was supposed to be what happens between episode 3 and episode 4, and Dark Killer was honestly a pretty cool character to be introduced. We didn't really get that much of his backstory too tough, other than, he grew up on Kashyyyk and, he saw his father get murdered by Vader. But he was a cool character to actually see, Sith turning into, a Jedi near the end, and how the rebellion was even born in the first place. I thought that was great. Granted, we had sequel, which isn't bad, but I also think that they were trying too hard to recapture the magic of the first one. But
Listen, what I think works about was it The Force Unleashed
mm-hmm.
is everything that works with Shadow the Hedgehog.
Swear to God, you bring up Shadow the Hedgehog.
No, but no. But truly, think about it, right? If you compare Star Killer to Skywalker, it's Shadow and Sonic.
Yeah.
So anyway,
you're silent because you know I'm right.
No, I'm silent because I hate that game with a burning passion.
No,
and I will get.
He's silent because he's Jay.
Shut up. What?
Or is it Bob? I don't fucking know.
Oh, I'm silent Bob.
Okay. He's silent because he's Bob.
That's a deep cut, man.
Jay and Silent Bob, yeah. That's like Harold and Kumar levels of deep, bro.
Dude, I love the VSQ universe, but that'll be a talk for another time because,
I will say,
so,
of course, Lego Star Wars was also my jam. That
was awesome, great, yeah.
That was like literally an insane kind of package. Like, there's so much content in that game, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I love exploring a lot of the places.
Listen, Lego games nowadays would not exist without Lego Star Wars.
Literally, Lego Star Wars was the original concept. That was like the first one like that.
Yep.
So,
they're a lot different.
Sequel trilogy.
Let's genuinely start off by saying what we like, and let's just talk about all three movies at once, because honestly, there's no point in talking about them individually. Let's talk about the stuff that we.
Exactly.
I actually feel like I probably have the most to say about this now, especially since we just rewatched this recently.
You're all caught up.
Honestly, it wasn't as bad as I remembered it. They're not that as horrible as I remembered. The story is obviously the worst part. I hate that episode 7 is a complete is more or less a complete rehash of episode 4. I hate how episode 8 kind of is a bit of a crawl, and it's, I don't know, you could say a lot of it stems from Disney and the directors not having a damn plan in the first place. And I hate episode 9's story because what? But I think I want to say for the most part the characters are all right. I think some of the characters I like Rey, I like Poe, I like Finn. I wish they actually had something to do and a moment to shine with each other. But like the visuals in these movies are grand. Like these 3 movies are probably, I mean, they're easily the best looking Star Wars movies. I don't think you can really argue with me on that one. Say what you want about Mustafar.
There. I fully agree. Fully agree. No argument there.
Say what you want about the prequel trilogy or whatever, or the honestly, the original trilogy is nice because it's not as clustered with CG. It's all practical effects, but like, damn. But of course, it really, I think it really boils down to the story was fucking garbage a lot of the time. I think they could have played the fact of the Empire being a little bit like kind of on the smaller side this time, and like the I don't know. It fucking pisses me off that not only did they steal the planet, the Jedi's go to get their crystals, that sacred holy planet, they turned it into a giant fucking Death Star laser because they couldn't help themselves. They destroyed the fucking Republic in 3 seconds because LOL. And it's like, oh, okay. I see where we're going with this. It's like, what? Finn and Poe don't, like, get separated and they don't meet till, like, the end of the second half? Or is it, no, I think it's Rey and Poe. They don't meet till, like, the end of the second movie. It's like, eh. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's but like honestly, at the end of the day, like you turn off your brain, you see Palpatine shoot a bunch of lightning in the air. Haha, it's funny and stupid. At least you get a pretty movie. They're not great. The stories fucking suck. There's a damn knife that somehow lines up with the Death Star crash that's just gonna stay there.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stupid stakes. They fly now.
They fly now.
But yeah, they're
God,
honestly
I wish
not.
we were recording the comment. I wish we were recording our commentary when we were watching that.
It's just it's honestly they're bad, but there's still some nice things. I think I fucking hate episode 9 story probably the most because I hate it's basically a knee-jerk reaction and a reverse of everything that they did in episode 8, and they did some nice stuff in episode 8, like Rey being a nobody. That was literally perfect.
I'll agree to that, yeah.
Why would you reverse it? Why does she need to be a Palpatine? Why?
Yeah, I do agree, actually. That was one of the best parts about it, episode 8.
Mm-hmm. God.
So, can I check this apart now?
No, I want to talk about the stuff that I liked about it too before we absolutely tear into it. Like a bear tearing into a honeycomb tree thing, whatever, a beehive. There it is. Like a bear tearing into a beehive. I want to talk about the things that are good about it. First off, some of the best dogfights in Star Wars, period. You know, some of the best cockpit fights visually, you know. Hell, in the first one, it's the stakes are clear. I mean, obviously it's a rehash of the original, but the stakes are clear. The planets are gorgeous, and you know, you get an amazing visual of like what it feels like to be an X-wing fighter. A lot better than the originals, in my opinion. You know, because in the originals, it's like the same footage played over and over again. But in this one, you actually get like unique camera angles, you get unique footage, you get different kinds of fighting, like different kinds of play. It feels like you're playing Battlefront while watching this movie, in my opinion. That's what I felt. And I thought that it was awesome. And you really feel the anxiety and the tension every time they hop into a cockpit because it's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. Just it's like shooting swamp rat. No, it's like, hey, we might die. And you felt that every time they hopped into a cockpit, where it's just like the writing was excellent in that aspect, like the way. And I don't even think that's the writing. I think that's just the acting. The acting was excellent, where it's just like these pilots know they may not make it back, and that's the point. They're heroes. And so I thought that was excellent. I thought that Holdo was. I think I'm the only person that thinks this. I think Holdo was the only rational character in episode 8, like at all. I think Holdo was the only person with rationality in episode 8. Everybody else was acting like they had no time, and Holdo was the only one who was just like, we need to wait this out because we have no other option, and any other choice that we do is going to be irrational. I think that she didn't communicate the plan because she didn't have a plan, and she was flying by the seat of her pants, and she was just like, I have a last ditch effort, and if I tell you what it is, you're not going to like it, so I'm just not going to tell you. And Poe had no faith in her, and because of that, he's reacting on knee-jerk reactions. And it really does. I feel like Holdo was one of the best characters in that movie because it's like, hey, Leia wasn't supposed to go into stasis. I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm here, and we don't have many options, so we're gonna do what we can. And then she runs it through. And then she runs a spaceship in hyperspeed through a Star Destroyer to get one of the prettiest fucking shots in Star Wars. Period.
Well, I also agree. Yeah,
It's so is gorgeous. No sound, just boom, and you're sitting. I remember you could hear a pin drop in that theater. How silent everyone was seeing that because we were all just like, "Holy shit, that's amazing!" So there's that. I don't remember the salt planet. Was it Crate? No, that's not Crate. Is it?
I think it is Crate. I love the salt planet too. I think like episode 8, like there's some fucking fantastic visuals. It's probably some of the best visuals in the entire series. Like,
I agree. Casino Planet, cool. Dagobah Part 2, I thought that it was nice. I thought the Porgs were cute. that's actually something that I thought was cute
Yeah,
because
the porgs were cute.
they didn't play a major
They
story
didn't defeat
thing
the
with the
Empire.
yeah,
Mhm.
but
Oh,
also they were trying to edit out the puffins that were there because they shot in I want to say New Zealand,
yeah.
and they kept on trying to edit out the puffins, and they're like, "This is too much work. We're just going to CG over them," and they made porgs out of necessity, and so
Also,
it's not like a so it wasn't like
green
a
milk.
we're gonna insert this creature to sell toys. It's listen, we gotta find a solution, and we might as well make a creature to sell toys with it, and it worked. Porgs were adorable. People bought stuff, and I feel like that's one of the strongest
I
aspects of that movie.
I still love that
Um,
Chewie ate
I
one.
liked.
Green milk. Green milk from the fat alien titty. Yeah.
We're talking about stuff we liked.
Also,
Um,
I just want to get this in real quickly. I think I love the final battle between Kylo Ren and Rey in Episode
gorgeous,
9.
gorgeous fight.
But
Gorgeous
honestly,
fight.
all their fights are fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But I think
Kylo Ren
the
and Rey, their fights are perfect in my opinion.
yeah, between the
And
forest, the red room, and then I think my personal favorite, the Death Star ruins.
oh, and then Force FaceTime as well. I thought that was a fight too
I
because and
It's
in it
so
in
good.
it I don't know if you heard my realization halfway through it because I was
Mhm.
just like he can't see where she's at. And it was such genius storytelling to basically be like they can only see each other in the environments they're
Yeah,
in,
it's
and
great.
they only see what happens when they interact with something in the environment. So he's fighting in a way to see where she's at. So when he figures it out, he's like, "Oh, you're on my ship," and it's just like it was brilliant storytelling. And also Kylo Ren, a lot less screamy in the third one,
Yes, he
Because
was.
he's
and
grown up at that point.
yeah, and I feel like Kylo Ren is probably one of the better written characters
Oh, for
in
sure.
second in the sequel trilogy. Period. Like Adam Driver's performance as Kylo Ren is excellent, and I feel like Kylo Ren, every single decision that was made sense. He is such a tragic character. He and honestly, like it's great. Like we meme the hell out of him, but
Hmm.
Kyle Ron is one of the best one of the best Star Wars characters.
I heard Kylo
Um,
Ren has a 12 pack.
oh, I want to be a pilot like Luke Skywalker. Yeah, no, I love that. But yeah, no, and just yeah. Uh I liked Rose Tico. I liked her concepts.
What they
The thing
did,
is of the heroes, I love their concept. I love their
what they did to-
introductions.
what the fans did to her sucks.
Yep,
What the fans
they
did
fucking did it
to
again.
yeah. Kelly Marie Tran is such an amazing person. She's an excellent actress. She's hilarious. And I feel like had they just kept Rose to be a like comedic kind of character like Lando was in the originals, that Rose's character really would have worked. Um, I loved Finn as a concept. I loved Poe Dameron the whole fucking way. He was my favorite character in Star Wars for so long. And then they did the last movie to him. But I'm talking about the stuff I liked. Um, I liked. I liked. What else did I like? I liked Leia a lot. I liked Leia's presence in the sequel trilogy a ton. I loved her relationship with Poe. I loved uh her understanding of Han and Luke and everything. I loved the reunion between Luke and Leia. That was so sweet. Um, yeah, I just I don't know. There's just aspects of the sequel trilogy that I really I love Poe's Black X-Wing. There are aspects of the sequel trilogy that I really loved, and that's really it. The music slapped, the visual
Mhm.
slapped, the acting was great. Everything except the story was good, you know?
And even sometimes I think the
Oh,
story worked decently. Like I said, like Ray's
yeah.
original backstory. I thought Kylo Ren's arc was pretty good.
Hmm. I feel like, and this is going to be another controversial one. I feel like episode 8 had people split the same way Man of Steel had people split.
Hmm.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you had some people saying that it was genius, and you had some people saying it was disgrace, and people didn't realize how honestly palatable the movie was until the sequel came out. And when we saw what episode 9 was and we saw what Batman vs Superman was, we all kind of went, ew, no, that one was so much better than we actually gave it credit for, because we didn't realize how bad it could actually be. And like, I love Man of Steel. It's one of my favorite Superman. I love Superman in general, and I like Man of Steel a lot because it's like it's one of those movies where when you watch it, you get it. You feel like the understanding of like Superman is always somebody who wants to help people, and you get that in Clark. The execution is subpar because it's just Clark throwing people at buildings and blowing shit up and not really caring about human life.
Okay, that's a discussion for another day, but yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking about Star Wars, not Superman. But in the same way, like Episode 8 is like it could have done. It tried doing really interesting things with the Force. It tried being like light and dark side are just two perspectives of the same thing. The Force is something without morality. It is just the Force. There is no true light or dark side. It is just what it is. And I feel like that's where they're trying to take it, and they couldn't commit to that. And that's what's disappointing because they really could have done something with it. And even Kylo Ren goes as far as saying, like, there's no Jedi, there's no Sith, there's no light or dark side, there is just us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
that's
feel like
pretty much what they were going for.
I wish that they just stuck to that instead of being like, no, Kylo Ren is wrong. He's going to go to the dark side, and that's it. And Rey is wrong, and she's just going to go to the no. Stick to the moral ambiguity of it and show that morality is subjective. That there is no true winner in war. Show us that side of the story, and I feel like that's what they were doing because are they the resistance? Are they the rebels? Are they what were they in this?
Resistance.
They're not needed.
The resistance. The resistance, and that's the thing. Like the resistance, the purpose of the resistance is questioned in this movie because it's just like there's like 20 of us left. What's the point of this? Like, who are we fighting for? Like these questions, these real questions were brought up.
Why am I here? Why am I fighting for?
What? That was the Mega Man X4.
I'm guessing you don't know what that is.
What?
It's a Mega Man X4 reference, because Zero, Zero has a whole spiel about what he's fighting for.
But yeah, and then there's a point where Poe is like, "What are we fighting?" Like when someone asks him, "What are we fighting for?" Poe's like, "We are the spark that will ignite the flame, that will turn into an inferno, that will burn down the forest, and it's like, all right, Poe, we get it. We're the thing that ignites the resistance. Cool." And he keeps going about fire stuff. But no, and I feel like Episode 8 laid the groundwork for something that could have been really impactful in Star Wars and really changed how we saw Star Wars moving forward. And they were so scared of fan backlash that they chickened out and they didn't see through Rian Johnson's plan. And I feel like Rian Johnson's plan probably could have changed Star Wars for the better, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But no. So yeah, that's everything I liked about it, and that's everything and then I think my biggest gripe with this series is that it's just so much wasted potential. You know?
Yeah.
All the advertising showed Finn as a Jedi, and that story alone is insane. A defected stormtrooper who becomes a resistance leader and a Jedi Knight, and that like not Jedi Knight, but like a force wielding Jedi. Hell yeah, let me see that movie. And we were promised that movie in the advertising, and we didn't get that movie.
Okay, so
all right, tear into it like a bear in a honeycomb.
Yeah, man, go for it.
So where do I begin? I feel like I should also talk about what I like. But these motherfuckers already talked about it for me, basically. Because what I would say is basically what they just said. So, what I liked was what they liked. I think the music. I'm gonna start off light. The music is fine. Not John Williams' best. Go listen to the prequels and the original trilogy for his best. But it's fine here. 7 was not as good as I thought it was when I first saw it in theaters. Because when I first saw it in theaters, it was good. Seeing it again, though, there is a lot of stuff that I'm just looked at and I'm like, wow, this really did not need to happen. And clearly, there is no plan for what's going to happen. Because everything was just, from that point on, it just happens. The movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate the fact that one of the things I also that I thought of, Alvin and the Chipmunks, the road trip, was literally going up against Star Wars the same day.
Where the hell are we? I was about to say, what the hell are we going with?
No, I'm about to get to my point.
That's a weird comparison, but okay.
No, they released on the same day. They released on the same day on episode 7, and I remember that because somebody pointed to a Simpsons reference where it's just like Alvin and the Chipmunks get rabies, and then it came out the same day as Star Wars episode 7, The Apollo.
You guys have your turn to talk. Hold on, I'm about to get to my point. I bring it up because at least that sequel felt like an actual continuation and not just a retread of what was going to happen again.
You're telling me with your whole chest that you watched Alvin and the Chipmunks Road Chip?
Yes. Yes. I saw that movie, regrettably so. But I felt like, I'm not trying to say this to be controversial. I'm not saying this to get under somebody's skin. I'm really not. This is actual observance from what I've seen. It felt like that, at least the road trip felt like an actual continuation. This movie felt like a step backwards instead of. Granted, I know Star Wars hasn't been in theaters for a long while, but we had TV shows. And the TV shows were trying to do something different. We had the Clone Wars. We had the games. They were all trying to do something different. And yet, because it wasn't in the movie theaters, they felt like we need to go back to episode 4 again. We need to go back to the starting point. And it's like, yeah, but no, because people are not that unfamiliar with Star Wars completely. Star Wars is such like an iconic thing that honestly you don't need to feel like, oh well, we need to kind of start over from square one again. You could be like, well, we could take some inspiration, but try to do things differently, so that way it's not just a retread. And granted, this will be the best. Honestly, this will be the best thing I could say about this movie. At least I wasn't questioning my love for Star Wars with this movie. Because that's where episode 8 and 9 come in. I don't hate episode 8 as much as I did when I was younger. Because when I first saw it, I thought it was fine. But the more I heard about how bad it was, I'm not going to lie.
A lot of dead air right there, Aaron.
Shut the front door right now. Let me finish. Episode 8 wasn't as bad as when I thought it was when I was, when I heard everyone else. Okay, he just, episode 8 was just.
Go on.
I don't know what to say because episode 8, I did not like episode 8 because everyone else hated it. But rewatching it, I still don't like it, but I don't hate it. It's just a movie that's there still.
Mm-hmm.
That is just honestly feels like it just had no place to be in completely because each and every plot can literally be tied to the subplot because the subplot mattered more. And I was actually more interested in this subplot compared to the main plot, which is Rey. Because let's be honest, that was supposed to be the focus, and Rey was just there the whole time. Like not even there, like oh yeah, she was there. No, she was on an island with Luke, training. Not even training though, because you basically just gave Luke an earful completely. And man, Rey's just. I can't even say Rey's a Mary Sue because she does have flaws. She does have emotions. She doesn't lose an arm, which I actually kind of wanted her to lose a limb at some point. But yeah, I mean, if you're
wish you'd lose a limb. Ugh.
Listen, if you're a true Skywalker, that's the status quo. Okay.
Yeah, at that point, it's just a rite of passage.
Exactly. And listen, I know people bring up Leia, but Leia had her whole planet blew up, so cut her some slack. But Rey is a nothing character, but at the same time, a misguided character because it just felt like they didn't really know what to do with Rey at all. And that was the big thing that people kept speculating about was Rey herself. So they just kept writing stuff, made up stuff for her on the fly, like, oh, well, maybe there's some mystery to her. Oh, wait, no, nothing. She's nothing. Oh, but no, but she's actually a Palpatine, though. And it's like, you guys just don't know what to do with this character. And that's a shame because Daisy Ridley, really good actress. You know, I'll be honest, I haven't seen her in any other movies except this one, but she is trying to act her ass off in these movies. You know, and it's a shame that she's up with these, crappy dialogues because even the cast made fun of this. Even the story, the cast made fun of these movies because they know that these movies aren't that good. There is no plan. There is no real reason for these things to even exist because look, if you want my honest opinion, I will say like everyone else has in the past, they should have just done the actual storyline from the books where it takes place after episode 6. Those should have been the real episodes 7, 8, and 9. But for what we got, I think is a misguided point of view where you just have one plan that was going to take off, but then another plan that comes and interrupts that, and then a plan that tries to scrape up what's left of something that was broken, but not even broken. And what you get is episode 9, basically, which that's still a disappointing movie. I actually got nothing new for that movie. That movie was so disappointing that even watching it with you guys, I said it. I said at the beginning of the movie, it didn't feel like something enjoy. I didn't feel like it's something that I'd enjoy. Not because you guys weren't. We didn't make good commentary. Far from it. It was great to watch it with you guys, but it didn't feel like, oh, cool, we're watching a movie. Like honestly, like 7, and 8, it felt like homework, and a movie should never feel like homework. Because there are so many things where it's like you have to keep up with this or you had to be in the know for this. Somehow Palpatine's return, yeah, he announces it in Fortnite. No, most people did not. Or actually, most people did because it was the dumbest thing that they ever done. And look, Kylo Ren was fine throughout these movies, but I will say he genuinely felt like a wannabe Darth Vader, which I get was the point, but that's, in my opinion, that's not how you make a menacing villain, because they were trying to also build him up as somebody that you should be just as terrified as you were in Vader, but man, this guy wasn't it. Guy had a temper tantrum every 12 seconds in 7 and an 8. And in 9, I will say, yeah, he no longer screamed. If anything, he was actually a lot more reserved. He was a lot more quiet. He did start to become a little bit more like Vader, but the damage was already done at that point, man. I could not see Kylo Ren, without him screaming his ass off. And 7 was honestly just complete and total disappointment where I just I kind of zoned out at a few parts because it's honestly hard for me to even get a grasp on the movie, even though we just saw it not too long ago. We just saw it last week. And I'm sorry, if you really, I know there are people that are probably like, well, maybe give it another shot. Folks, I've tried. I've genuinely tried to look at this in another way, but I just can't because this is just not a logical closure point. This is not even a conclusion. This is just, as Danny put it, dead air. This is just dead air at this point because it is so tiring. It is not even filling. It's tiring after watching this movie because it's not like, yeah, we did it. It's, yeah, I guess we did a thing. You know, episodes. If you want my honest, humble opinion, back then I would have said just watch 1 through 6. I still do. I think you should honestly end the movies with either 3 or 6 because those movies actually feel like an actual finality to a saga. Meanwhile, this just feels like a half-ass baked essay conclusion that you'll get from a college student who doesn't really know how to write that well, but knows how to write well enough. And even then, it's not his best because he's tired. That's what you get with this ending in episode 9. There's no substance. There's no meat. It's nothing. And I know there's some people who probably expecting me to go off on a tangent and get angry and rant, but folks, this movie, I, I'm sorry, I can't do that for this movie. It doesn't even have enough fight in it for me to even get pissed off at it for. It's just
The only people to get pissed off at for this movie are the Disney executives meddling with it because you can tell that everything they did was basically to appease the fans and appease the criticism that they were getting because Star Wars was their biggest acquirement at the time and honestly was supposed to be their biggest cash cow, and seeing that much negative backlash really made Disney scared. And that's the thing. People really learned that they can bully a corporation into doing whatever they want, and that doesn't mean it's going to be the correct thing. Sometimes you just gotta let them cook. And if you don't like it afterwards, cool, say something, but let the full vision complete before you go ahead and rag on something. Otherwise, you're going to get something like this.
honestly, yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. Honestly, at this point, it just feels like a cleanup crew came by and tried to scrape up what was left of broken glass, but couldn't because it was so melted into the floor that the damage is just done. There's nothing else you can really do. And that's why
I think our
like I said, I can't even scrounge up any anger. I could make up the excuse like I'm tired. No, I'm actually not. I'm wide awake. But damn, this movie is just so lackluster and uninspiring that I'm just like, what else do you want me to say?
I think our experience in this call alone kind of reflects how we feel about Star Wars. Where at first we were filled with passion because it was something to be talked about. There were so many amazing things to point out, and like it was something that incited excitement and inspiration, and the original content of Star Wars spun off into so many different franchises and so many different IPs and so many different um, expressions of this galaxy that George Lucas created and other people fleshed out. And I feel like our excitement and our participation in this conversation was really, really powerful and really strong in the beginning. And now at the end, we're just tired. We're done. And
Fuck off
like,
at this point, yeah.
and it's just one of those things where it's just like, we I want another Star Wars trilogy in theaters, but I'm nervous because like I want to make sure that if we do get another Star Wars trilogy, Star Wars X, XI and XII, 10, 11, 12, I want them to be something that I can look back on and be like, yeah, that was a cultural moment that was impactful and positive. And I don't think we're going to get that anytime soon because Disney's is scared. They're trying to play Star Wars safe, and we see that now with the series that they're rolling out. We see
And
that with Mandalorian. We see that with and how every single spin-off of the Mandalorian is just another season of the Mandalorian. You know, uh,
That was
it's
so
like
stupid.
Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett. Oh, you mean Mandalorian season 2 part B?
well, this is gonna get a lot of people pissed off, but yeah. He's not exactly wrong though, folks. If you really look at it, Mandalorian is the drive that sets off a lot of these spin-offs. With the exception of Obi-Wan and Acolyte and even Andor.
And here's what I will say about
That
Andor is that, and I
Boba
think we've discussed Andor, not Andor, but we've discussed Rogue One in the past. Rogue One's best and strongest point is the last third, where they're actually boots on the ground, getting the Death Star plans to the rebels. That is
Hey,
the best portion of that movie. Everything else is long and lengthy setup, but Cassian Andor is a compelling character, and I'm glad they made a series about him because, yes, I want to know more about this character. And that's kind of what this series are supposed to be unnecessary watch, but still like interesting takes on these characters. I feel like Solo would have been better as a series rather than a movie because we could have gotten episodic adventures of Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Lando Calrissian venturing in the Millennium Falcon.
I actually do want to bring up something though that stuck out to me because I said it at the beginning of this. We're all Star Wars fans. You know, whether it's moderate, whether it's big, or whether even it's little, we're all Star Wars fans here. The thing, though, that honestly infuriated me originally now just makes me just grow tired of is the fandom itself. Because I see
Hmm.
what was once passion has turned into nothing but people bickering and shitting on each other about opinions that don't even matter in the grand scheme of things. And I'm not talking about life itself. No, I'm not going to get that deep. I'm talking about Star Wars. Folks, this movie is not going to make you feel like how you did when you first saw Star Wars in theaters. All right?
Nothing's going to capture that again.
It's
You're not a
no.
child anymore.
And I hate the fact that people try to compare it like, oh, it has to live up to that magic. Instead of trying to give it a fair chance. Because I'll be honest, I did try to give these folks, I tried to give these movies a fair chance. 7, 8, and 9 were movies that I honestly could not, I kid you not, did not want to go in being like, oh, this is gonna suck. I even said before, 7, I thought it was good when I first saw it. 8,
I love 7.
I didn't hate 8 at first. I thought it was fine, and then 9, I was going in expecting maybe this will be the one that's actually good. Came out of the theater, I was disappointed, but man, I couldn't tell you at this point, you know, what it means to be a Star Wars fan because I don't really know what it means to be a Star Wars fan at this point. You got so many people shouting at each other about liking the sequels or hating the prequels, liking the prequels, you know, or whatnot, and telling you you're wrong in every instance. You know, for that, I might as well just go back to the Sonic fandom, which I'm already in. You know, because that's just what we did already in the Dark Ages, bickering about what Sonic was better, blue arms or tan arms, and my friend Jonathan can attest to that. The Sonic fandom is nuts sometimes. Scratch that. Most of the times.
I only know the portion of the Sonic fandom that makes hentai, so I'm not in it, but that's the only portion of the fandom that I'm aware of.
My main thing is Star Wars is a franchise that I do genuinely hold close, near, and dear to my heart because I have a lot of fond memories. But 7, 8, and 9, when I think about it, is not fond memories. It is a lot of anger-inducing rants, tedious talking points, and honestly, tiresome conversations. That's what these movies are to me at this point.
It upsets me that that this was the Star Wars series that came out when I was in high school. You know,
Same here. This is the Star Wars series that came out when I was in high school, man.
like the conversations that we were having as like high school students, my classmates and my friends and I, we were having conversations. We were excited about Star Wars. Hell, I nerd backstory. I did a lot of a cappella and theater and choir in high school. So 3 years in a row, we did a Star Wars themed event for our end of the year concert. We sang John Williams is the Man for our talent show. I hosted, and my co-host and I, we had a lightsaber duel as one of our intermission things. Every year we did something Star Wars related because Star Wars was the cultural topic at the moment. Everybody was talking about it, and it was a great time to be a fan of Star Wars when we were talking about it, when theories were being crafted. I will never forget the period of time between episode 7 and episode 8. People were so optimistic about the series, about the franchise as a whole. And between episode 8 and episode 9, people were weary but still optimistic. And then after episode 9, there's no passion left. We're all disappointed.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are at this point. We haven't had, like, obviously, yes, The Mandalorian is great, and yes, I'm incredibly excited for Acolyte because I really want to see what they're going to do with it. And I mean, all this stuff on TV, all the shows that they're doing is cool. I'm glad they ended Clone Wars properly. Bad Batch is what I've heard is good. I haven't seen it, but I've heard that Bad Batch is good. Like they're doing a lot of stuff. Disney Plus is doing a lot of stuff with the Star Wars things. I don't want to watch something on Disney Plus. I don't want homework. I just want to sit down and watch one movie and then wait 2 years to get another movie and then wait 2 more years to get another movie. And that's all I really want to do. I don't want to do all this extra homework. I don't want to learn all these extra names. I don't want to do all this extra stuff. I just kind of want to watch some movies and enjoy.
Yeah, that's kind of what they did.
It's like a Marvel movie or something.
Marvel's doing the exact same thing. The only difference is that they don't stop making movies, and I'm getting tired.
But
I liked the Marvels. I actually watched the Marvels in theaters, and because I like the actors. I love Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel. She's amazing. Like the Marvels was fun. I want more movies like that because I sat down, I watched the movie, and I came out of the theater being like, that was entertaining. That was fun. Was it life changing? No, but I don't want life changing. I just want entertaining. Like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was amazing. Moon Knight as a series is great. I want high quality stuff from Marvel, not shit that they made because they need to appease stockholders. And that's what it feels like a lot of their stuff is.
I think you may be alone in the Marvels. The Marvels was great category because
I've known people who said the Marvels is good.
No, I know, but I'm not saying myself because I haven't seen the movie.
Okay, so then you can't talk because the Marvels is fun. Like
hold on. I was just about to say though, there's a few people out there that might like it. I haven't seen it, and I'm not trying to make the judgment call myself. I was just saying, you might be one of the few people who like it. That's it.
I will say this. It is the only, aside from Shang-Chi, is the only Phase 4 movie that I would recommend.
Damn.
Not even Wakanda Forever. I wouldn't even recommend Wakanda Forever because Wakanda Forever is good, but unless you're like, you really want to see it, if you're not a fan of Black Panther, you're not going to enjoy this movie because like, I thought it was cool. I thought it was great. I'm a huge fan of Black Panther. It's a gorgeous movie. And like, it's like my third recommendation of all the Phase 4 movies. Number 2, Shang-Chi. Number 1 is the Marvels because the Marvels, it's just fun.
Wait, okay, so genuine question. Are we counting No Way Home as a Phase 4 movie or no?
No Way Home is a Phase 4 movie, but No Way Home, here's the thing. The best parts of No Way Home are other movies.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
The best parts of No Way Home are in other movies. The only reason it works the way it does is because if you don't watch the other movies, these are just old dudes.
Yeah.
But like I said, like the Marvels, it works because you don't have to watch Miss Marvel to know who Kamala Khan is.
she's her own character. You get everything you need to know about Kamala and her family in the movie, and I think that's excellent. You know, you don't need to.
Because you can't like women being in the lead role.
Mods ban this fucker.
I do wonder how much that could have possibly played into, or at least stuff like that could have possibly played into this movie failing so bad. I think also they just didn't market it very well. That too.
The marketing did suck.
The marketing sucked. Captain Marvel was received poorly. People are tired of the MCU as a whole. They don't let people breathe. And we're hitting a point of superhero fatigue where it's just like, I'm tired, man. Give me something different. And the only shows that are surviving right now are Invincible and The Boys, because they're doing something with the superhero genre that's different than what everyone else is doing. And that's the only reason they're surviving as well as they are.
X-Men 97.
X-Men 97 is exactly what we've been waiting for. X-Men 97 is gorgeous. The story is great. The characters are iconic. It is excellent. You don't even need to have watched the original X-Men to understand who these characters are, what their dilemmas are. Like, watching the original X-Men series helps 100%, and like, it's intended, but you don't need to watch it to understand Rogue is a badass, Gambit's cool as hell, Wolverine is edgy, Cyclops is a good character, Jean Grey faints all the time, but she's incredibly powerful, Magneto is right. Like, Storm is one of the best written characters. Like, all of them are so well written. They're all so good. Like the animation is gorgeous. The colors are bright. It's X-Men that we've never seen them. We haven't seen them in so long in this energy and capacity that we're just like, thank God, something I can enjoy. Yeah. X-Men 97. X-Men 97 is also retreading old stuff. It's not a new X-Men series. It's just a continuation of the 90s series, the thing that made X-Men iconic for that generation. And it's making people iconic. It's making them iconic for this generation before they're introduced into the MCU.
What we're trying to say is, at the end of this, go watch X-Men 97. No, but honestly,
I will say this.
I honestly got nothing.
So going back to Star Wars, there are some projects we can look forward to, though. Like I said, Star Wars Acolyte. I'm looking forward to it. It has not come out by the time that we've recorded this. You know, I'm anticipating what they're going to do with it, and I really hope that they take Star Wars into a direction that we haven't seen before, like they did with The Mandalorian.
I'm excited for the Fortnite Star Wars crossover again. Though it's not looking as good this time as it did last year.
Listen, I missed the boat on Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite. That doesn't mean I don't see the appeal in it. And I think that if Fortnite came out when we were in middle school, I would have been a degenerate and only played Fortnite, because the game is exactly everything that I would have wanted when I was in middle school. I can't even bash it. Fortnite's just a good game, like, truly.
I think
there's also
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the Mandalorian movie too.
Oh yeah, that's Mandalorian and Grogu.
Which I'm expecting that's the end of their story.
Yeah,
I hope so, because it's like, you know, it's one of those things where the story has to conclude at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's at a very specific time that we know doesn't end well. So it has to, like, conclude, and we have to know what happens to Grogu. Like, why is he not in any of the movies? There has to be a reason for it. And my opinion is the galaxy is a big place. Grogu's probably on the other half of it.
That's what I was going to say. I think Grogu's just somewhere else.
I'll say they could get rid of him the same way they get rid of the Star Wars Rebels character. What's his name? Ezra.
Well,
they could send him into the future like that.
Yeah, but Kanan died though, so
yeah, Kanan's dead, but Ezra lives.
Yeah, if Din Djarin doesn't die, I'm gonna be very, very surprised, because up to this point, every Mandalorian warrior that we've seen, every named mainline Mandalorian warrior has died on screen.
And not true. Bo-Katan hasn't died yet.
Bo-Katan doesn't. I don't include Bo-Katan because she was introduced in the series, not in the movies. Every single Mandalorian we've seen in a movie died on screen.
Don't know. He has a movie coming up.
So I'd be very surprised if they didn't keep that energy, if that makes sense, you know?
Let's end it off by ranking these movies though. So who wants to go first?
Oh man. Okay. At the bottom, Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In ninth place, Episode 9.
Yeah.
Not to the fault of the actors, but not to the fault of the creative team, not to anyone's fault other than it was just too much.
Wait. You know what? No, you know what? I'll say my rankings next, so I'll withhold my
Okay.
statement.
So Episode 9 is my ninth place. Number 8, this is where it gets hard because like around this section, it kind of all feel like this like same quality. So I don't have any hard opinions on it. But honestly, number 8, Episode 2. It's not bad, but it's definitely not my favorite. And it wasn't.
And you know what's funny?
What?
That's exactly my placements for those two movies.
Okay, cool. And like I said, there's a lot of good things in Episode 8, or in Episode 2, but I just overall, it's just not one that I kind of jump to when I think Star Wars. 7 would have to be. Oh man, that's tough. Episode 1. Episode 1. You know, again, it's one of those things. I like it. Like, and again, this chunk here, they're all kind of the same to me. And then 6, Episode 7. I like it, but it's it doesn't hold water once you really look at it. 6th place. God, there's so many of these fucking movies.
I will say the whole numbering, the fact that there's two, that there's like 9 movies and there's 9 rankings, and that you're calling them by episodes, it's fucking confusing. At 2 a.m.
It is. I'm just gonna say my top three because the rest of them don't matter. The lowest ranked is Episode 9. And then the top 3 are number 3, The Empire Strikes Back. Number 2, The Last Jedi. And number 1 is Episode 3.
Okay. John?
You want to know my opinion?
Mm-hmm.
The worst movie is Episode 7.
Okay.
Oh,
Fuck 'em.
okay.
Fuck 'em for the rehash. Fuck 'em for the lazy rehash.
Okay. That's actually fair. Actually,
I can't really argue that. I mean, yeah.
Plus, like I said, I like some of the fight scenes. I love that fight on the Death Star. So, I honestly, besides that, maybe Episode 2 and then Episode 9. Then like what?
Top 3.
Top 3 probably. I mean, honestly, you had a pretty good top one. What was your number 3 again?
My number 3 was Episode 8. I think it was.
Yeah, pretty much the same top 3, honestly. Let's be real here.
Yeah. Episode 3, Empire Strikes Back, and then Episode 8, Empire Strikes Back, and then Episode 3.
8, 5, 3 is your top 3.
Yeah.
I guess it's my turn. So number 9 is the last. Number 9 is Rise of the Skywalker.
It's Episode 9. Yeah.
Number 8 is Attack of the Clones. Number 7 is The Last Jedi, because I hate that movie, but not as much as I used to. It's just Number 6 is The Force Awakens. Number 5 is Return of the Jedi. 4, Phantom Menace. Number 3 is A New Hope. Number 2 and number 1 are honestly tied because I sometimes flip flop between the two, but honestly, this might be definitive. Number 2 is Empire Strikes Back, and number 1 is Revenge of the Sith.
You remember what I said when we first started?
Yeah.
I called it.
Yeah.
I called that shit from a mile away.
Yeah.
There's no way episode 3 wasn't Aaron's favorite. I mean, I knew that from like before we even did any of this.
Yeah.
Listen, I told you, episode 3, I can literally repeat all the lines in my sleep, alright?
You were geeking out so hard when we were talking about episode 3.
Dude, I
You literally had the floor. It was your movie.
love that movie. That movie is just so awesome. I'm gonna go watch episode 3 again, alright? That's the end of the commentary. See you, folks.
2 a.m. The hell?
2 a.m.
So I want to.
Who watches episode 3 at 2 a.m.? Oh boy, episode 3.
Oh boy, 3 a.m. Alrighty. This was fun. Thank you guys for having me. I would love to do something else before we do the Sonic or the Shadow playthrough.
Well, like I said, if you have any availability, Adventure 2 is still on the plate, so yeah, but that's something. That's gonna be something else. But yeah, as always, folks, this is the end of the discussion. But as always, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Why don't you do that? Hit that.
If you made it this far, you're a trooper.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you watch a lot of long videos anyway on YouTube, anyway. So why is this one any different? Go ahead and hit that notification bell.
Yeah, Quentin Reviews can post a 9-hour review of Victorious.
What the fuck? You can? They got how many reviews has that got? Like millions?
What about?
He's got
what's
like
that?
8 different episodes just about the Nickelodeon sitcom universe, and they're each easily over 3 hours long.
What was that one guy? His dad reviewed like some old show, and it was like 2
That was
days
him.
long. Oh, that was him too.
And it got copyright stricken so hard that it doesn't exist. The video doesn't exist anymore. It exists on his Patreon, but it was literally one day, 17 hours and like 38 minutes or something like that. It was a ridiculous length.
Like, talk about just like what? Why?
Because he could. It was an April Fool's prank.
No, I meant why would they take it down? Like, why you gain
because
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But he reviewed like 3 different shows on that.
I found the 8-hour review from Quentin Reviews. Dude.
That's it. Yeah.
All together, it's 8 hours and 5 hours for the first part. That's 13 hours. And this like have millions of views. So
dude,
if you can watch those, you can watch this video and even that.
Exactly, man.
Right. Watch this video. Alright? We don't even go that long. Alright? But anyway, hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, you get up to date on all our content, all our videos. And yes, folks, we will definitely have Danny back at some point. We'll try to get him back. He's the official 4th member of the group.
Woohoo! I love it.
Yeah. And of course, type in the comments below anything Star Wars related, what you like, what you don't like, if you think we're nerds, or if you think we're right, if you think we're wrong, go ahead. But be respectful and civil about it. Do not be douchebags on the internet. You have self-restraint. Come on now. And of course, if you like what you see here, you can click right here to, not here, but when you get to the end screen, you can click on whatever videos you want. Until then, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Deuces. Peace.